Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show.
Withdraw. Feeling Lin Yu's terrifying strength, the three made a decisive decision and immediately issued an order to retreat, and the troops receded like a tide. The response was so fast that there was no hesitation at all. It seems that they are all veterans of the battlefield, but since they have already provoked him, Lin Yu naturally won't let them go so easily. Hearing a muffled thud, the cannon shot directly, a fiery red streamer pierced the air, and swept straight towards the retreating plant lord. "Be careful." The other two suddenly changed their expressions, and exclaimed in surprise. The plant lord was also shocked, and almost without thinking, let the two Ninth Order ancient tree troops stand in front of him. The next second, the bullet exploded, piercing through the bodies of two Ninth Order ancient trees, in an instant with the tendency of destroying the dead and tearing away the rot, blasting a huge hole. And on the wound, there was a fire of destruction dragon flame, burning frantically. One strike, two ninth-tier units were dropped in seconds. It made the pupils of the other two vibrate even more violently. However, it was precisely because of these two arms that the plant lord successfully blocked the deadly sniping of the cannon, and his face showed endless astonishment. Just now, if his reaction was a step slower, it would not be the soldier who was penetrated by the body, but himself. What monsters did they get into this time? How dare you stay? And immediately fled out in a hurry. Lin Yu looked at the corpses of the two soldiers on the ground with a look of surprise. He found that the other party's ancient tree troops, like him, were also equipped with shield turtles. In the sky, there are also a few soaring demon emperor dragons and demon empress dragons. With so many powerful arms, the strength is obviously not weak. Of course, it would be so reckless to ambush other realm lords. Don't let them run away. With an order, the plant dragon he was in charge of supporting in the air also swooped down and slapped the opponent's 8th Order plant dragon with a slap. At the same time, vines spread rapidly on the ground, chasing after the three. "Block me!" the undead lord shouted loudly, and summoned a large sea of skeletons to block the way of the vines. Next, the herd of beasts on the side roared in the sky, activated the unique skills of beasts, and the beasts rushed to attack, causing the speed of all troops to suddenly increase, quickly opening the distance between them and Lin Yu. Group acceleration. Lin Yu raised his brows, but he didn't expect the other party to even have this skill. Seeing that his plant troops were temporarily dragged by the sea of skeletons, the distance between the two sides was getting farther and farther, and the three people who were fleeing finally showed joyful expressions. However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. The air around the undead lord suddenly distorted. Without warning, Wu Ying and its two clones appeared at the same time, and three cold lights flashed past. PFFT. What? The sound of flesh being cut, accompanied by a shrill scream, echoed in the forest. The undead lord, who was running wildly, fell to the ground, covered his neck with his hands, and his eyes widened to the extreme. The two people on the side were also startled when they heard the sound. When they looked back and saw a huge slit on the neck of the undead lord, and the gushing blood, their faces instantly turned pale. Escape. This was their only thought at this time. He didn't even care about saving people. He immediately fled in panic with his troops. Kill the 8th Order Lord of the Alien Plane, get 81.07 million mana, and the 8th Order Territory Essence X1. A cold reminder sounded in Lin Yu's mind. Seeing that the remaining two were fleeing farther and farther, he stopped chasing and gradually stopped. The other party has the group acceleration skill, and in this dangerous forest, it is better not to run around. In case of encountering other Ninth Order lords, it would be a bit of a loss, and the resources obtained by killing the undead lord are also very rich, with a total of 80 million mana. In addition to what he already had, it just reached 250 million. This is definitely a huge sum of money for an ordinary 8th Order lord. Okay, let's take a rest first. After saying a word to the plants, Lin Yu stepped forward to check the corpse of the undead lord and clean the scene by the way. The other side, after getting rid of the beast lord and plant lord, who were chasing him, he ran all the way for more than 10 minutes before finally slowly stopping in a dense forest. Seeing that Lin Yu was not chasing after him, his feet suddenly softened, and he fell to the ground. His chest rose and fell violently because of his breathing, and his forehead was covered with sweat. Did that guy not come after him? The beast lord kept turning his head to look behind him, like a bird with a startled bow. I don't know. I think it's better for us to leave here quickly. The plant lord's face was pale, and the thrilling scenes just now echoed in his mind. He just felt scared. That guy is really scary. Just one person with hundreds of troops killed 3 of them, and even killed one of them. With such a powerful strength, I am afraid that even the geniuses in the 10 realms are far inferior. In this world, How can there be such a perverted existence? It made him feel as if he was facing the Ninth Order Lord, and at the same time he was very regretful. I knew it earlier. He shouldn't have gotten into this kind of plague. Caused him to lose so many troops in vain. Let's go back first. The Beast Lord stood up directly. We must report this matter back and let them be careful, especially in this area. Let's not come here in the future, so as not to encounter that monster again, the Plant Lord said with lingering fears. Next, they won't stop. With the remaining troops, he hurried back towards the outskirts of the forest. After half an hour, they finally returned to the base of the Realm Alliance in the Mechanical Empire, outside a skyscraper. At this time, inside and outside the skyscrapers, people come and go. There are many lords from different realms gathered, and they all have the same feature. That is, they joined the Realm Alliance headed by the Eternal Realm and the Demon Realm. The two walked hurriedly on the square outside the building, and soon passed through the entrance and entered the building. The embarrassed look immediately attracted the attention of many lords. Yo, isn't this Mo Huey and Zhang Sanyan from the Lingzu world? Why do they look so embarrassed? At this moment, a man in silver armor came towards him, with a team of 5, and happened to meet the two of them. Guo Zongxian. Mo Huey. Zhang Sanyan's complexion sank, and his expression darkened instantly. HMPH, we don't have to worry about you. After speaking, he ignored the other party, and continued to walk into the building. Seeing this, Guo Zongxian even sneered disdainfully. Looking at you guys, it is estimated that the action failed, right? A small realm is a small realm, and even such a simple task can fail. What did you say? Mo Huey and the two stopped and turned around to stare at Guo Zongxian angrily. Don't think that if you Wuxiangji has one more emperor than us, you will be better? The 8th Order guy we met today will fail even if the 5 of you go together. Oh, did I hear it right? Did you get this way by an 8th Order Lord? Guo Zongxian and his teammates looked at each other, laughed, and mocked him unscrupulously. You can't even deal with an 8th Order Lord. Are you kidding me? The 5 of us can't deal with one person together. It's not like bragging. Your spirit continent realm is really going back and forth, and you would actually make up such a lame reason. Let's go. Don't talk nonsense with them, so as not to get infected. The ruthless laughter kept coming from Guo Zongxian and others. Mo Hu's faces turned blue and purple, and it was hard to see the extreme. Originally, I wanted to kindly remind these guys to let them pay attention. Since the other party is so disrespectful, they have nothing to say, and they just make these arrogant guys suffer. Humph. With a cold snort, the two of them didn't say anything. They turned around and walked into the building, causing other lords to discuss until they were never seen again. Guo Zongxian and several talents gradually restrained their smiles, and their eyes darkened. How credible do you think what they said just now? Guo Zongxian said in a low voice. His expression was completely different from just now. Although it's a bit exaggerated, but looking at them like this, it's probably true. Indeed, but I still don't quite believe that someone who made them like this would be an 8th Order Lord. Needless to say, there must be some exaggeration in it. Agree. Although the Lingzu realm is a small realm, there is no doubt about the strength of Mo Huey and the two of them. At least they can be ranked at the upper middle level among the 8th tier lords. To make them so embarrassed, it must be several 8th Order lords with comparable strength, or simply 9th Order lords. But no matter what it is, Guo Zongxian and others have the confidence to deal with it. Even if they can't deal with it, there is no problem in escaping. So after some deliberation, they didn't pay much attention to it, and left the skyscraper and headed for the Nightmare Forest. And the direction they were going in was the direction Lin You was in. Lin You didn't know there is a stronghold of the Realm Alliance nearby. At this time, he was in a clearing in the forest, fighting fiercely with a large number of 9th Order Deadwood guards that emerged. Quickly block the gap over there. Mushroom Demon King, bomb the place where the monsters are densest. Cannon, kill that leader in seconds. Don't let it recruit monsters again. Following Lin Yu's command, all the plants were methodically resisting the attack of the Deadwood guards, and around where he was standing, there were already hill-like corpses of monsters. Seeing that thousands of Deadwood guards were surrounded by the leader monster, Lin Yu's eyes suddenly froze. Retreat. With a loud shout, the team of plants in the fierce battle retreated in a hurry, and gave up the open space. And those withered wood guards crossed the hill of corpses and chased after them. When most of the monsters crossed the corpse mountain, Lin Yu immediately looked at Tun Tian beside him. Go! As soon as the voice fell, Tun Tian opened its terrifying mouth full of fangs, and a breath of death quickly gathered. Boom! A deafening explosion resounded throughout the forest. Under the control of Swallowing the Sky's corpse explosion skill, the corpses of those monsters exploded, blowing all the Deadwood guards who were chasing out. Some of them were killed on the spot. Some of them were hit hard and couldn't recover. The original tidal wave of offensive disintegrated instantly. Very good. Get rid of all the remaining monsters. Naturally, Lin Yu would not miss this opportunity, and immediately led the troops to kill him again with a carbine. How could the army of monsters that suffered heavy damage still have the power to resist? One by one was killed on the spot, and they all turned into Lin Yu's magical energy. A fierce battle also ended here. Okay, let's all recover. Seeing that all the monsters were killed, Lin Yu directly let the plants rest in place, and he just went to the side to count the harvest this time, and collect some materials that the monsters can use to make equipment. After all, it's all money and it can't be wasted. Before upgrading to the 9th rank, he had to make as much money as possible. Even if you take a long-term view, you have to start preparing for the establishment of a principality, and save more money to lay the foundation. Lin Yu did the math. After the entire battle, he gained nearly 5 million mana in total. It's not much, but it has gained a lot of source power. He opened the source interface and took a look. Name, Tree of the World, Origin, Category, Plants, Level 8, 1510 2100s, Range, 1510 meters, Relic Effect, all attributes plus 38%, Shield plus 19%, Talent Effect, Constitution plus 10%, Recovery Speed plus 10%, Ability, Soul Domain, Racial Talent, Halo, Summoning Space. Introduction. The soul is condensed and grown to a certain extent. It can evolve into a world, and it needs the power of the source to irrigate. Have to say, the power of origin given by the 9th Order leader monster is really rich. In just a short time, the scope of his origin space has risen to more than 1,500 meters. The coverage of Halo field skills also increases, so you don't have to worry about too many units that are too far away to gain gains. It was a big improvement for him. After resting and recovering in place, he got up and moved on, taking his troops to explore other places. The scope of this nightmare forest seems to be larger than that of the Mechanical Empire. When Lin Yu stopped and walked for a long time, he still felt that he was only on the periphery. The monsters encountered are basically below a rank. According to the law that the closer to the center, the higher the level of chaos, it is obviously impossible for him to reach the center today. And with his current strength, he is not very willing to get close to the center, because the people who can go to that kind of place are basically 9th Order lords. This time he came here specifically to collect the power of the source, but he was not interested in wasting time fighting the lords of other realms. Come on, let's go over there first. Lin Yu stretched out his finger and pointed to the direction where the trees were sparse in the distance, and said to the plants, generally speaking, where the trees are sparse, the sunlight is more abundant, and the probability of encountering plant monsters will be higher. If you can encounter a large number of boss monsters, it will be better. Immediately, the entire huge plant team changed direction, and marched in the direction he pointed, planning to hunt down a few more leader monsters, and go back. However, what Lin Yu didn't expect was that, after walking for more than 20 minutes, the leader monster did not meet. Instead, there was a fierce fighting sound, which suddenly came from a distance. Is there a lord fighting? Lin Yu was startled, and immediately asked the plants to restrain their voices, carefully approaching the source of the sound. Not for a while, a large area of troops fighting fiercely in the jungle came into view. Impressively, 5 8th Order lords were frantically besieging the 3 opposite lords. Haha, you can't escape, just die obediently. You are unlucky when you meet us. Go on, kill all their troops first. Arrogant laughter, constantly echoing in the forest. And these 5 people are the hunting team led by Gua Zongxian, who just came out of the Realm Alliance. Each of them brought nearly 400 troops and surrounded the 3 8th Order lords in the middle. Everywhere he looked, there were piles of corpses of troops. Basically all of them were besieged. Because of the disparity in numbers, the 3 of them could only rely on their only 700 or 800 arms to support them and fight and retreat. Hold on. Be sure to hold on until other people come over. No, they have too many troops, and they can't stop it. Damn, it's a big deal to fight with them. Do not impulse. The faces of the 3 were full of anxiety and anger, and they continued to issue various orders to the troops. 3 to 5, the disadvantage is too great, and all retreats have been blocked. After several failures to break through the siege, the battle circle shrank rapidly, leaving them in a precarious situation. They could only retreat under a towering tree, in an attempt to delay time to seek a turning point. And Lin Yu, who was hiding in the distance, finally saw their appearance. It turned out to be the primitive world lords that I had seen on the suspended train before. It seems that after they left the Mechanical Empire, they chose the same exploration direction as themselves, so they appeared in this place. I just didn't expect to be so unlucky, ambushed by other realm lords, and there are 2 more than them. Seeing that the momentum of the 3 primitive world lords was weakening, Gua Zongxian and others in the distance became even more arrogant. Give it up, no one will come to save you. Obviously hand over everything on your body, and you can die a little more happily. Yes, hand over everything. There's so much nonsense, just kill it. It's no accident that they came here. But because he heard Mo Hui's words, he specially came to this area to find out. I planned to meet for a while with the Lord Mo Hui mentioned, deal with him, and slap the face of Lingzhu realm. The result was unexpected. The target was not found, but instead met 3 primitive world lords, who were exploring nearby. So, there was this battle. In the bursts of laughter, their troops attacked more and more rapidly, shrinking the battle circle, and their expressions became more and more complacent. However, they didn't notice. Just as they were attacking frantically, an illusory figure had come behind the angelic lord, who was in charge of auxiliary treatment, and slowly approached him. The angelic lord turned his head suspiciously, as if he had noticed something strange. But no matter how he observed, he couldn't find anything different. He only felt a cool breeze blowing across his neck which made him tremble slightly. Is it winter? The angel lord frowned in doubt and didn't think much about it. Look forward again, and continued to command the units for treatment. But what he never expected was, when he opened his mouth to give an order, he found that he couldn't make any sound, and there was a faint pain in his throat, and it became more and more intense. He reached out and touched his throat, and there was a wet touch. When he opened it up, he saw a bright red patch on the palm of his hand. Blood. The angel lord's eyes suddenly widened, and he covered his throat with his hands in horror, only to find that more blood spurted out, dripping down his arm. Can't stop? He opened his mouth wide, trying to remind his teammates, but there was only a hoarse sound from the slit throat, which was immediately covered up by the battle sound in front. In the end, he rolled his eyes and fell straight to the ground. Old Eighth, what's the matter? Get treatment now. At this time, Guazongxian turned around and urged, but what he saw was the corpse of the angel lord and the angel troops that kept falling from the sky. After being stunned for a moment, the expression on his face suddenly changed. Old Eight, a cry of sadness instantly spread to Evrion's ears. The lords of both sides who were fighting finally reacted, and looked at the angelic lord, who had turned into a corpse in shock. Especially the 3 primitive world lords. One by one, they were amazed, and they didn't expect such a sudden change. What's the matter? Why did that guy hang up suddenly? Could it be because of excessive indulgence and sudden death? No, it's reinforcements. Our reinforcements are here. Reinforcement, where are you? The 3 of them looked around, with a strong look of hope in their eyes. Finally, on the trunk of a big tree in the distance, they saw Lin You standing there. When he felt the familiar aura on Lin You, he was even more overjoyed. But without giving them a chance to think much, Lin You was the first to speak out. Go! The voice fell, and a large plant suddenly appeared in the forest. Hundreds of troops and thousands of immortal flowers rushed out, and quickly surrounded Guazongxian and the others. The few people who were still shocked by the death of their companions suddenly recovered, and looked at Lin You. On the tree, one person, Guazongxian, was stunned. Immediately afterwards, he seemed to think of something, and his expression changed again. 8th order. One person. Isn't this exactly what Mo Hui and the others said? Be careful. Who dares to hesitate? Immediately recall all the arms and put on a defensive position. The other 3 were not slow to respond, and they gave up the attack one after another and recalled all the troops. Good chance. Let's go. The appearance of Lin You turned the 5-on-3 situation into 4-on-4. How could the 3 primitive world lords, who had been holding their breath for a long time, miss this opportunity for revenge, and immediately issued a counterattack order to the troops to cooperate with Lin Yu's attack? The lords who can come here are basically weak. In the blink of an eye, their arms merged with Lin Yu's plants, and launched a violent attack on Guazongxian and others. The one rushing in front was naturally Qinggong, holding a sword and shield, directly launched a savage charge and slammed into the outermost defense line, knocking out a large number of troops, making Guazongxian and several people's hearts jump wildly. What kind of monster is this? Is the ancient tree troops of the plant system so strong? The calamity sword bamboo, the wooden shield black turtle, and the symbiotic moss. There are actually 3 installed arms. How is this possible? The 4 Guazongxian were shocked to the extreme. As the 8th rank lords with the highest strength in Wuxiangji, they have a lot of knowledge, and they recognized the equipment planted on Qinggong at a glance. That's a troop planting. The ultra-rare arms that many lords can't ask for. There is someone who can have 3 at the same time. What monsters did they encounter this time? Could this be the monster-like 8th order lord that Mo Hui said? At first they didn't believe it, thinking that Mo Hui was exaggerating, but now they found themselves wrong, and very wrong. How dare you keep your hands? One by one burst out, resisting the attack of Lin You and the other 3. Bang! But at this moment, a loud explosion sounded. In the distant jungle, a hot streamer rushed out and swept towards their team. That incomparably powerful power suddenly changed the expressions of Guazongxian and others. Block me, Quickly use your defensive skills. That's too late. Boom, the sparks exploded, and the P-bullets containing the powerful blow of the cannon instantly penetrated all the arms in the entire 100-meter straight line, including several ninth-order arms. They were all shot and killed in one shot. Hiss, so strong. The three primitive world lords were stunned, looking at a straight line that was emptied. Is this really the power that an 8th order lord can cause? Stop talking about them. Even Guo Zongxian and several others were shocked and horrified, and finally realized the horror of Lin You. Get out. Seeing that Lin Yu's army of plants kept advancing towards this side, they immediately retreated in a panic, and no longer had any intention to fight the enemy. However, how could the three primitive world lords give them a chance? Immediately turn the direction, let the troops block their way, and stop them. Want to run? Leave your life behind. Come on, get rid of them. In the anger, the arms of the two sides scuffled together again, and they fought furiously in the forest. All kinds of troops and dazzling skills constantly intersect, and the whole scene is chaotic. At this moment, a red on appeared in the army of plants. Lin Yu's barbaric filial piety is activated. Under the blessing of powerful attributes, the lone demon king immediately led the mushroom army to fly high into the sky, knocked off Guo Zongxian and their flying units, and threw large pieces of mushrooms below. Boom boom, Mushroom Gaian rose in the forest and turned into a billowing air wave that swept out. The originally huge army of arms was instantly bombed, and the corpses were flying. One of the beast lords had the worst luck. He was hit by Mushroom Goo, who doubled the explosive power of the lone demon king, and was directly killed on the spot. Kill the 8th order lord of the alien plane, get 25.64 million mana, and the 8th order territory essence x1. The cold reminder sounded in Lin Yu's mind, counting the angel lord, who had just been killed by Shadalis. His magical energy finally broke through the 300 million mark, but under the blessing of barbaric filial piety, the defense line of Guo Zongxian and others was finally broken. Countless piranhas emerged, beating their troops in the blooming violet garden. The giant vines of King Tang are constantly rushing out everywhere he went. There were mummified corpses that had been drained of flesh and blood. The three primitive world lords seized the opportunity and finally succeeded in beheading one of the opposing elemental lords. Only Guo Zongxian of the demon system and another undead lord were struggling to support, and the situation was completely reversed from the beginning. Damn, Guo Zongxian's face was extremely gloomy. He didn't expect that among the myriad worlds, there really was an 8th order lord with such terrifying strength, even more terrifying than what Mo Hui described to them. Just one person can easily turn the tide of the battle and kill them to pieces. In particular, those strange-looking units are so powerful that they are outrageous. Seeing that the three teammates died one after another, their own troops suffered heavy casualties. There is no fighting intent, and when he gritted his teeth, he took out a scroll from his personal space and ripped it open. In an instant, the light lit up, and a teleportation circle that could only accommodate one person was built under his feet. This is directed teleportation. Seeing the formation on Guo Zongxian's feet, the undead lord next to him was startled, but immediately, his face turned pale, and he rushed towards the formation. Wait, take me with you, roll. Guo Zongxian kicked him away. Immediately afterwards, the formation was brilliant, and the whole person and troops disappeared in place in an instant, and the undead lord was completely drowned by the army of plants, in a shrill howl, and finally died. Kill the 8th order lord of the alien plane, get 33 million mana, and the 8th order territory essence x1. Lin Yu ignored the hints in his mind, and hurriedly brought his troops to the place where Guo Zongxian disappeared. Frowning, he heard the voice of the undead lord very clearly just now, and it seemed to be a directional teleportation scroll. I didn't expect the other party to even have such a thing. Although it is a consumable, the effect is much better than his random teleportation. Don't worry about teleporting to any messy places. With this kind of prop in place, it is too easy to escape, and it is basically difficult to catch up. But Lin Yu didn't care. Anyway, he has already taken 3 kills, and the harvest is not low. Not bad for this head. Thank you, brother, for saving your life. Just thinking about it, the 3 primitive world lords came over and bowed deeply to him. It can be said that if Lin Yu hadn't appeared this time, their lives would all be explained here. Even if you get away with it, your vitality will be severely damaged, and you may be killed by monsters at any time. It's not an exaggeration to say that it was a lifesaver. You're welcome. We're all from the same clan, and we should help each other. Lin Yu smiled at them. If there's nothing else, then I'll go first. Without giving a few people a chance to speak, he left with the army of plants and rushed towards the outskirts of the forest. The 3 of them wanted to stay, but seeing how he didn't like communicating with people, he closed his mouth and watched him leave until he disappeared. In a blink of an eye, there were only corpses and blood left on the ground, and it looked like a mess. I think I should know who he is? One of the oldest men murmured. Who? The other two couldn't help but look at him. The great wilderness principality, Lin You. The man said word by word, solemnly. There was a little respect in his eyes. When the two heard the words, they were shocked. It turned out to be him, the person who is known as the number one in the Eighth Order. It shouldn't be wrong. I feel that he is even stronger than the rumors, the man said seriously, his eyes silently watching the direction where Lin You disappeared. In the battle just now, even without the three of them, the result would not have changed much. It was just a matter of time. There were such powerful characters in their primitive world, which made him feel extremely happy while being shocked. It was as if the primordial realm could finally overwhelm the other realms. With his strength, he will definitely reach the 10th Order in the future. I don't know if a duchy will be established. If it is built, I will be the first to move the territory into his principality. Haha, wake up, such a character. There will definitely be a lot of 9th Order lords serving, no matter how you turn it. That's right, let's hurry up and clean the scene, and go back first and make up for the lost units. At this time, the sky was getting darker. If you continue to stay in the forest of dream demons, you may encounter danger. The reason why Lin You left in such a hurry is because of this consideration. He didn't want to be suddenly besieged by a bunch of monsters that appeared out of nowhere when he went to sleep in the middle of the night. So he would go back to the mechanical empire and stay for one night before talking about it. And this time, above the square outside the Realm Alliance base, a flash of light flashed, and the embarrassed Gua Zongxian teleported appeared, and rushed towards the skyscraper with a panicked face. Isn't that Gua Zongxian of No Phase Realm? Why is he injured? I remember he took a team out today, right? Why is he the only one left? Is something wrong? The appearance of Gua Zongxian immediately attracted the attention of other lords in the Realm Alliance, and they stopped in surprise. And Mo Hui, who was in the base area, also received the news, and quickly ran out of it, and happened to meet Gua Zongxian. How did you do this? Looking at Gua Zongxian, who was covered in injuries, Mo Hui was shocked. Although he has a grudge with Gua Zongxian, he has to admit that Gua Zongxian is stronger than him. Even this was defeated, and there was not even a trace of other teammates. Apparently something went wrong. Humph. Gua Zongxian saw him appear, snorted coldly, and walked into the base without turning his head. It wasn't until he passed by the wrong side that his footsteps suddenly stopped. Is the person you met today from the plant department? Plant department. Did you meet that guy too? Mo Hui was shocked and turned around. However, Gua Zongxian didn't say much. After hearing his rhetorical question, he left directly, and he no longer had the arrogance before. This reaction further confirmed Mo Hui's guess, and a storm surged in his heart. Gua Zongxian and his team actually encountered that monster, and only one escaped. What happened to the other four? Obviously, I am afraid that it has been more fortunate than fortune. Who is that plant lord? The strength will be so powerful. It seems that there is no way to go to that area anymore, and you have to inform other people. Mo Hui looked solemn, glanced at the darkened sky outside, and hurriedly left the place and rushed to the interior of the base. In the Realm Alliance base area, there is an independent teleportation array, which connects the plane entrances of each realm. This is why there are so many lords of different realms here, just to facilitate them to hunt and kill lords of other realms, thus disturbing the muddy waters of myriad realms, and incidentally enhancing the strength of the Alliance under the leadership of the Eternal Realm and the Demon Realm. At this time, the Realm Alliance has secretly developed into an extremely large force, and began to slowly start their plan to annex the myriad realms. Certainly, these have nothing to do with Lin You, for the time being. On the contrary, because of the continuous annihilation of the Realm Alliance team, the area where he was located was surprisingly calm, and there were no more bad things like Lord Ambush. And those 9th Order lords seemed to disdain to take action against him, as an 8th Order lord, and there has not been even one of them several days in a row. Lin You all spent his time hunting monsters. It was not until the 6th day that his source space finally reached its full value. Name, Tree of the World, Origin, Category, Plants, Level 8, 2100 2100s, Range, 2100 meters, Relic Effect, all attributes plus 39%, Shield plus 20%, Talent Effect, Constitution plus 12%, UU reading www.uuknshu.com recovery speed, plus 12%, Ability, Soul Domain, Racial Talent, Halo, Summoning Space, Introduction, the soul is condensed, and grown to a certain extent. It can evolve into a world, and it needs the power of the source to be filled. Very good. Looking at the attributes of the full value original space, Lin You couldn't help clenching his fists. As such, His source space is twice that of other tier 8 lords. Not to mention that the effect of the holy relic is stronger. Even the racial talent has been greatly improved. Normally speaking, the racial talent under the full value of the 8th order lord should be 8%, but he has reached 12%, and the advantage will be highlighted immediately. Except the power of belief is slightly weaker. His foundation is already on par with that of the old lord. Notice just the basics, because in addition, he has 3 godhead shards, and the overall gain is 30%. It is equivalent to 30% stronger than the old leader's strength. Before the 10th order, this was the gap that all lords could not match. How can I get the power of faith quickly? Lin You looked at the source interface in front of him and muttered to himself. After several months of hard work, his source space, territorial relics, and arms secret treasures have basically been sorted out. Except for a few arms that have no secret treasures, there is not much room for improvement, and those rare items are things that can't be found, and can't be counted as a way to improve strength. So the only thing he can do now is to collect the power of faith. But the problem is, after this period of accumulation, his power of belief has only reached 20,000, which is still a long way from the full value of 50,000. It is not easy to upgrade to the 9th order. For today's plan, I can only go back to the sanctuary first to see if I can buy things like faith orbs. It doesn't matter if it's a little more expensive, anyway, he still has more than 300 million mana. Thinking of this, Lin You suddenly gave up his plan to continue hunting monsters, left the nightmare forest with his troops, and rushed back to the sanctuary more than an hour later. He returned to the floating islands, where people came and went. Although it was already afternoon, there were still a lot of hawking noises, flooding all platforms, and all the lords were shooting the treasures in their hands. But unfortunately, Lin You looked around on various platforms, but couldn't find anyone selling faith orbs, not even the lowest level plus 100 faith. This stuff is really not that rare. Lin You. Suddenly, a cry rang out. Lin You, who was shopping between the booths, turned around when he heard the sound, and saw Situ Jan, who had not seen him for many days, appeared not far away, walking towards him. It was you. Lin You took a step, with surprise in his eyes. He found that Situ Jan looked very tired at this time, but his expression was bright. It was a kind of joy from the heart, and even the deep and restrained breath before had faded a lot. Looking at you like this, the matter has been satisfactorily resolved. Lin You couldn't help asking. Yeah, it's settled. Situ Jan came to him with a smile. The whole person looked a little more relaxed than before, as if he had completely changed only. His next sentence made Lin You stunned. I and that person have completely cut off the relationship between father and son, and I am no longer the prince of Confronting Empire. This are you sure? Lin You stared at the indifferent Situ Jan in amazement. If it wasn't for the other party's expression, that didn't seem like he was lying, he would think he was just laughing. This guy actually broke the father-son relationship with Emperor Chongfeng, and gave up his identity as the emperor of the empire. The astonishing news made Lin You almost unable to turn his head. When Situ Jan said he was going to go back and settle the matter, he had thought that it would be a happy ending, and that the father and son would be harmonious in the end. No matter how bad it is, the Cold War can be lifted and relations restored, but never expected such a result. It is not something that anyone can do to give up such a noble status as an imperial prince. Obviously, Situ Jan really made a big decision this time. Are you surprised? Situ Jan still smiled, not sad because of this incident, but more relaxed than ever. After taking a deep breath, he restrained his smile and said with a low gaze, in the Chongfeng royal family, that man has many illegitimate children. I'm just a push to the surface. When my mother was still here, he didn't even want to look at my mother. He just treated me as a tool to cultivate. Such a person is not worthy of being a husband or a father at all. Now I'm giving him back everything he put into me, and I'm finally getting relief, and honestly, I'm very happy. As he spoke, his eyes flashed with determination. Lin You was silent and was surprised. According to rumors, Situ Jan has always been the only son of Emperor Chongfeng, and has been favored by thousands of people, but did not expect. It was beyond his expectation that such an amazing secret was hidden in the royal family of Chongfeng Empire. But after all, this is someone else's private matter, and he doesn't want to ask too much. After a moment of silence, he asked, then are you still planning to stay in Chongfeng Empire? No. Situ Jan shook his head. I said I would give everything back to him. I don't want to owe him anything except for my life, and I don't want to stay in that kind of place anymore. That's fine. Have you decided where to move the territory? Territory relocation is definitely a big event for the Lord, because to go to a new place to develop, everything has to start all over again. If you are relocating across borders, you must obtain the approval of the king of the other party before you can relocate. However, with the talent shown by Situ Jan, there should be many countries that are willing to accept him as predicted. As soon as Lin You asked the question, he saw Situ Jan nodded, and said, "It's been decided, let's move to Yan Lai's side, so that we can take care of him." Yan Lai. Lin Yu's eyes moved. He remembered that Yan Lai's territory was in the Blue Wolf Kingdom. It is one of the most powerful of all kingdoms. Situ Jan is not a condescending talent to go there. Then when are you going to move? Lin Yu asked. In a few days. There are still a lot of things in the territory that have not been handed over, and Yan Lai has to make preparations to help me apply for the territory. Eighth Order Lords still have a lot of right to speak in various countries. It shouldn't be much of a problem to apply for a spare territory with the king. Situ Jan didn't want to stop on this heavy topic, and suddenly asked, "What about you? What are you doing?" "Me? Forget it. I was looking for the Faith Orb, but I couldn't find any." Lin Yu shrugged helplessly. "So that's the case." Situ Jian's face suddenly became clear. "If you want to find the Faith Orb, I have a way to get it quickly." "What way?" Lin Yu's eyes lit up. "Have you heard of the Source Crystal?" "I heard. What's wrong?" "In the center of the Nightmare Forest, there is something called the Ancient Tree of Origin. It is said that there is a chance to get the original crystal there." "What do you mean?" "Use the Source Crystal to exchange Faith Orbs with the Ninth Order Lord." Lin Yu understood at one point, and immediately thought of the key. As the apex of the Ninth Order Lord below the 10th Order, there must be no shortage of resources on his body, and it is not surprising that there are a few Faith Orbs, and the Source Crystal is still very limited for him now. If it can be used to exchange the power of belief and speed up the progress of the upgrade, then it will be better, because only when he reaches the 9th level, he has the opportunity to compete for more Source Crystals and other resources. This is what I heard from a few 9th Order Lords by chance, but I still don't recommend you to go. After all, the Nightmare Forest Center is too dangerous for 8th Order Lords. Situ Jan then said, "Don't worry, I will pay attention." Lin Yu nodded. Of course he wouldn't be stupid enough to just rush to take the risk. He had to make some preparations first. "Since this is the case, then I'll go first, and I have to deal with the affairs in the territory." "Okay, we will have the opportunity to act together in the future." Lin Yu didn't say anything more, said goodbye, and directly teleported back to the territory. Glancing at the sun that was about to set, he came under the world tree and clicked on the territory interface. Now Huangsha City's population growth has stabilized. However, after this period of development, it has slowly risen to about 500,000, and the floating population is even more numerous, especially after he expanded the flight route and replaced it with a new defensive holy artifact. The increase in the power of belief was greatly increased under the double blessing of the certificate of the tyrant. It finally reached the level of 100 points per day. According to this progress, it would take him a full 300 days to upgrade to the 9th Order, which is nearly a year. It's still too slow. Lin Yu murmured in a low voice, frowning slightly. For many people, upgrading to the 9th Order in 1 year is already very fast, but for him, it was still a bit slow, especially now that the Realm Alliance is about to move, as if something major is brewing, plus the unsealing of the heart of the Mechanical Empire. I don't know what it means. It made him even more eager to improve his strength in order to achieve the purpose of self-protection. Looks like the center of the forest has to go. Gradually, Lin Yu's eyes became firm. Although it was mentioned that the central area of Nightmare Forest might be in danger, with his current strength and means of escape, as long as he handles it carefully, there should be no major problems. The only problem now is, how should he grab the Source Crystal from those 9th Order Lords? And what is the so-called Ancient Tree of Origin? And will there be other dangers? After thinking about it, he finally clicked on the Principality interface, edited a message and sent it out. Lin Yu, Huangsha Cheng, brothers, does anyone know about the Ancient Tree of Origin? Please let me know. As soon as his news appeared, the originally lively Principality channel fell silent for a moment. Immediately afterwards, a lot of news emerged. Damn it, Big Brother Lin Yu. Big Brother, is this me? Nonsense. Didn't you see the 3 words Huangsha Cheng at the back? Catch a big guy alive. Why does the boss suddenly have an empty water channel today? A piece of news kept passing by. Almost all of them were 6th or 7th Order Lords, who knew Lin Yu's name, and those who have just arrived in the Principality not long ago are shocked. Because they were recruited by Lin Yu, they were like guides, but they didn't expect that Lin Yu's status in the duchy would be so high. There were even many 8th Order Lords who sent messages to compliment them, which really surprised them. As for Lin Yu's inquiries, many high-ranking lords responded. The Ancient Tree of Origin. Brother Lin is going to explore the center of the Nightmare Forest. There are 9th Order Lords everywhere in that place. Brother Lin, you have to think carefully. Several 9th Orders in our Principality should all be exploring there now, and it's okay to ask them to help. I've heard of some ancient origin trees, but they're not comprehensive. You have to ask a few ninth-order adults for details. The people who answered the questions were basically 8th-order lords, so they didn't know much about the ancient tree of origin, and couldn't provide much useful information. Lin You was helpless, and it seemed that he could only wait for the ninth-order lords to come back. After thanking those who answered, I was ready to close the interface and do other things. However, at this moment, a private message surrounded by Phnom Penh suddenly jumped out. It turned out that the king sent him a message himself. When I opened it, there was only one short sentence. I'll arrange for someone to send it to you about the ancient tree of origin, and do something for me. Doing something. Looking at the news in front of him, Lin You was very surprised. I'm afraid it's not a trivial matter to get the king to speak in person, but the problem is, he is only 8th tier now. If you have something to do, you should also explain to the 9th tier lord in the duchy. How could you find him? Don't wait for him to think about it. 2 messages have already been sent. One is from Jizing, and the other is from an unfamiliar lord. It should be the information about the ancient tree of origin. Without any hesitation, immediately click on Jizing's news to check. There is something called the original fruit on the ancient tree of origin. Collect some for me. 1 original fruit has 1,000 beliefs, and 5 fruits are exchanged for 1 original crystal, which is effective for a long time. 1 source fruit, 1,000 beliefs. Lin You was shocked and couldn't help but look overjoyed. He was really drowsy. Someone sent a pillow. He was just thinking about how to get the power of faith quickly, and it was delivered to the door so quickly. According to this calculation, wouldn't he be able to upgrade to the 9th rank after getting 30 primordial fruits? It's too easy to think about. Obviously, this source fruit is not so easy to get. Lin You is not stupid, since even the king asked for this thing in person. It is estimated that the difficulty of obtaining it is no less than that of the faith orb itself, so to be cautious, he still sent a message to ask. It shouldn't be difficult to obtain this thing, right? After a while, the king sent another message. It's not low, because all countries are fighting. You just do your best, and don't have to take risks. All countries are fighting. After reading the news, Lin You was shocked. All these countries are not only on the primitive continent, but include the entire world. This is more difficult, and the source fruit can also be used to exchange the source crystal. I am afraid that it will attract many 9th order lords. He is only at the 8th rank now, and the king looks down on him too much. However, he did not refuse, but simply replied, yes. After waiting for a while, there was no reply, and then another unfamiliar message was opened. Sure enough, he told Jizing that he introduced a lot of information about the ancient tree of origin. The more Lin You watched, the more shocked he became, because this has mentioned a lot of things about the original fruit. The original fruit, a fruit that contains the power of the source. Its function is very simple, that is, it can improve the resource level of the secondary plane. Exactly. It is the novice area used to cultivate new lords, and the foundation of every continent. The resource level of the secondary plane will directly affect the training speed and overall quality of the new lord. This is absolutely crucial for every continent. On a smaller scale, it is very important to every country on the mainland, because it is related to whether they can cultivate more top talents and thus strengthen their national strength. The stronger the country, the more benefits the king can get from it, and naturally it becomes stronger. No wonder, Lin Yu's expression suddenly became stunned. He now finally understands why Jizing personally intervened in this matter. I am afraid that other lords, who went to the center of the nightmare forest to explore, have received similar tasks, right? Continuing to scroll down to read the news, it was exactly as he had guessed, and there is some kind of consensus among the various fields. Those above the 9th rank cannot participate in the competition for the original fruit in person, otherwise they will be attacked by other realms. That is to say, this is the competition of the 9th rank lords in various realms and countries. Even many tier 8 lords with top strength will compete for it. So far, Lin You finally had a basic understanding of the ancient tree of origin, and also knew the difficulty of obtaining the fruit of the origin. After flipping through the introduction about the ancient tree again, he closed the interface and returned to the tree house. The sky outside also darkened unconsciously. Early the next morning, as soon as the roosters in Huangsha City started to croak, Lin You was ready and set off for the sanctuary. It's just early morning. The sunlight in the distance crossed the mountain peak at the end of the line of sight and fell down on the pilgrimage sanctuary. It's like a cake that has just been placed in the pan, gradually dyed with a layer of gold. The streets were sparsely populated, breaking the tranquility of the night. However, on the floating archipelago, there are still many lords like Lin You who sent over early. Some go to the secret realm, some go directly to the monster plane, and more wait for people on the platform. Lin You passed through the loose crowd, and soon entered the monster plane through the plane entrance on the central island. It took another hour to teleport to the mechanical empire. I finally came to the long-lost nightmare forest. Okay, let's go. With a big wave of his hand, Lin You directly rode the Demon Emperor Dragon over the city wall, flew high into the sky, and rushed towards the center of the Nightmare Forest. Lin You was very surprised. At this time, in the sky above the forest, there were actually many lords like him, riding flying mounts to the depths. I can't see how strong it is, but the speed is not slower than him. Obviously it's the ninth order arms, and the number is getting more and more, and finally reached the point where you can see one every 100 meters. Did they all go to the ancient tree of origin? Lin You was surprised, and carefully kept a distance from them. With his current strength, as long as he is not surrounded, it is not a big problem to run into a ninth order lord, and want to escape. Certainly, it can't be the kind of old monster that has lived for dozens or hundreds of years. In this way, we are vigilant all the way forward. He finally crossed the outer area he had explored before and came to the deeper part of the Nightmare Forest. Suddenly, Lin You let out a suspicious sound. He found that after reaching the depths of the Nightmare Forest, the surrounding trees actually began to thin out. From the original height of more than 100 meters, it gradually became only tens of meters high. In the end, it directly evolved into a land and oasis covered with green grasslands, extending to the end of the line of sight. It was actually a vast grassland in the middle of the forest, and in the cloud and mist at the end of the line of sight, a huge black shadow standing between the sky and the earth is looming. It was like an open umbrella, covering almost the entire sky. Lin You and the Demon Emperor Dragon under him were like a speck of dust in the desert in front of the shadow, extremely small. This is the ancient tree of origin. Lin You opened his mouth slightly and looked up at the vast ancient tree that gradually appeared in front of him. It is like a pillar of optimism, supporting the heaven and earth, and it is located in the most central position of the oasis grassland. Just the rhizomes at the bottom spread out for dozens of kilometers. On the top of the tree canopy, there are countless flying monsters with powerful imposing manners flying, forming an ecosystem of its own between heaven and earth. Just got close. Lin You felt an incomparably rich breath of life blowing towards his face. The aura that seems to be substantive surrounds this world, and it even dyes the ancient tree of origin with a layer of divine brilliance. Haha, I finally caught up. Looking like this, it should be about to bear the original fruit. Let's hurry up and grab a good spot first. We must grab a few more origin fruits this time. Full speed ahead. A shout came from not far away. Lin Yu's eyes narrowed, and he also accelerated, following the lords far behind. Probably because of the need to compete for the original fruit, not many lords choose to take action against other lords at this time, which made him feel relieved. And as the distance continued to get closer, he also found that some of these lords were of the 8th order like him, so there was no threat. Soon, countless lords gathered from all directions towards the original ancient tree, forming an extremely spectacular scene in the sky. Lin You followed the lords to the ground, found a fairly safe place, summoned some troops to protect him, and looked around secretly at the same time. It was only halfway through the morning. However, a large number of lords have already arrived. Everywhere he looked, there were 8th and 9th order lords, and troops from all walks of life, gathering in 2s and 3s on the intricate rhizomes of the original ancient trees, making the entire oasis grassland gradually lively. Lin Yu's heart was extremely solemn. He found that the 8th order lords here only accounted for less than 1/5, and the others were all 9th order lords, which were extremely rare on weekdays. If there is a battle later, he may not be able to get any benefits, not to mention robbing the original fruit. It's you. I was thinking. A startled cry suddenly came from a distance. Lin You heard the sound and frowned, because the person who came was none other than the demon lord, who escaped from him with a directional teleportation scroll yesterday. Gua Zongxian didn't seem to have expected to meet Lin You here, and his face instantly sank. What? You know him? A middle-aged man beside him asked in a low voice, and glanced at Lin You indifferently. Feeling the breath on the other side, Lin Yu's expression changed. The 9th order lord. That guy was accompanied by a 9th order lord, and more than one. How can I think too much? My body immediately tense, and I am ready to teleport away at any time. And this time, Gua Zongxian also whispered a few words in the middle-aged man's ear, suddenly made the middle-aged man look bad, and stared at Lin You with deep eyes. Boy, was it you who killed our Wuxiangji yesterday? The words contained undisguised killing intent. Although it is not appropriate to fight for the source fruit, he is just an 8th order lord, and he doesn't take it seriously at all. When the voice fell, thousands of troops of the 9th rank were summoned and surrounded Lin You. The other 9th rankers stood aside as if they were watching a play, and had no plans to take action, because in their opinion, dealing with an 8th order lord doesn't require so many people at all. so they lose their share of fastless realm. But even so, that middle-aged man is not something that Lin You can handle. Although he was upset, he silently stepped back, preparing to ride the demon emperor dragon to escape from here. Have we agreed to bully people in our primitive world? Unexpectedly, a voice suddenly sounded at this moment. On a clearing not far away, a group of Ninth Order lords came slowly and blocked Lin You. Lin You took a closer look. It turned out to be the lord team of the primitive realm. Shen Chunfeng, why are you here? Seeing the few people standing in front of Lin You, the Ninth Order lords of the fastless realm suddenly turned pale, and gathered together immediately. It's a joke. You have bullied us on the head of our primitive world lord, and asked why I am here. Is your head flooded? The primitive world lord known as Shen Chunfeng obviously knew the other party, and his words were full of sarcasm. Is he from your primitive world? The middle-aged man was startled in his heart, and couldn't help but glance at Lin You one more time. What? So what? Want to fight? Shen Chunfeng took a step forward and put on an aggressive posture. Several teammates around him were also standing around him, ready to take action at any time, and the atmosphere around him took a turn for the worse. Don't be afraid, little brother, with us, they can't bully you. The only female lord in the team said softly to Lin You. Now there is one more Ninth Order lord on their side than there is on the Wuxiangji side. Even if they really fight, the one who suffers will be the opposite. Therefore, it can be said that he has no fear, and is completely not worried that he will fall into the disadvantage. Several Ninth Orders of no-phase realm naturally know this truth. Although he was unwilling, he was still unwilling to waste his troops at such a critical time. Humph, let's see. In the end, the middle-aged man snorted coldly, and turned and left with the troops. And Gua Zongxian, who was beside him, hurried to keep up, not daring to stay for long. Before leaving, he took a deep look at Lin You. A conflict is easily resolved. It was not until they were far away that Shen Chunfeng turned to look at Lin You. How? Are you okay? It's okay. Thank you all for your help, Lin You said gratefully. In the situation just now, if Shen Chunfeng and the others did not appear, he would only have to escape, and he would have missed the opportunity to the original fruit. Haha, where is it? If the same family is in trouble, how can we just sit back and ignore it? It's you who came to such a dangerous place at the 8th level. You have to be careful, Shen Chunfeng said admonishingly. He looked to be in his 40s, and he was indeed Lin Yu's senior. Lin Yu nodded and replied, I will. Well, let's go first. We won't have time to take care of you when the battle starts, so be careful yourself. For Shen Chunfeng and others, it was just a casual move to relieve Lin Yu, so he didn't stay for a long time, and after saying hello, he left with the troops, and rushed towards the place closer to the ancient tree of origin. Lin Yu watched the backs of them leave, silently remembered their appearance, and wrote down this favor. Look, the results are starting. Just then, an exclamation sounded from the crowd. Everyone who was still chatting suddenly looked at the top of the ancient tree of origin, and their expressions became tense. I saw a large ray of light suddenly lit up on the branch of the ancient tree of origin, which was thousands of meters high, and the sky was filled with fluorescent light. The dreamlike scene caused a low cry in the crowd. The breath of life that was originally floating around was also rapidly gathering towards the original ancient tree, and finally condensed into many black-green fruits on the branches in all directions. From a distance, it looks like a ginseng fruit hanging on a tree, both sacred and spectacular. Is this the source fruit? Lin Yu raised his head and looked at the fruits that were gradually taking shape. There were nearly 100 of them under the count. It looked like a lot, but it was evenly distributed to all the lords on the field. But it turned into a situation where there were too many monks and not enough porridge. And in these short few minutes, many surrounding lords came to hear the news and joined the scramble queue, which made the atmosphere of the whole field even more tense. And the 8th Order lords like Lin Yu retreated to the edge one after another, waiting for an opportunity. Coming, there was another cry from the crowd. The waiting 9th Order lords were shocked, and immediately summoned all their arms, posing as if they were facing the enemy. Boom! Suddenly, a huge beam of light rose into the sky, covering the ancient tree of origin, and those original fruits finally absorbed enough life breath, fully matured, and peeled off from the tree one by one. Originally, Lin Yu didn't understand why those 9th Order lords didn't rush to grab it, but the next second he suddenly understood, because after the original fruit peeled off, it suddenly burst into a dazzling light. Then it grows rapidly in the air, growing countless rhizomes and vines, and some even 10 fruits are combined to bloom even more dazzling light. In the end, it turned into a terrifying monster in the shape of a plant, with a height of dozens of meters. Name, Guardian of the Source, Lord, Race Plant, Level 9, SSS Level, Strength, 9,500, plus 9,500, Physique, 9,800, plus 9,800, Agility, 9,000, plus 9,000, Spirit, 9,700, plus 9,700. Skills, Earth Guard, Power Extraction, Split, Chaos, all attributes increased by 100%. Introduction, the power of the source fruit is transformed, and the fruit on its body can be obtained after killing it. The ninth order Lord Monster. Seeing the attributes of those plant monsters, Lin You was stunned. If there were only one or two, he would not be so surprised, but now there are 8 in his sight, and they are all transformed from 10 original fruits. The remaining 20 fruits were scattered all over the place individually, and turned into a lower level 8th order Lord Monster. Name, Origin Entangler, Lord, Race Plant, Level 8, SSS Level. Strength, 4,750, plus 4,750. Physique, 4,900, plus 4,900. Agility, 4,500, plus 4,500. Spirit, 4,850, plus 4,850. Skills, Earth Guard, Group Entanglement, Thorns Thorn, Chaos, all attributes increased by 100%. Introduction, the power of the source fruit is transformed, and the fruit on its body can be obtained after killing it. 8 9ths, 28ths, and they are all lords. This amount can definitely be described as an exaggeration. It was the first time that Lin You had seen so many lord monsters, and he was taken aback. But those 9th order lords are different. Seeing that the lord monster transformed by the original fruit fell, he immediately led his troops to surround it. Go, full attack, side to side. This is only our return to Yuanji. Stupid human, you don't take our beast world in the eyes. In a blink of an eye, the troops led by the 9th order lords fought together, all of them eyeing the 9th order lord monsters. After all, it was transformed by 10 source fruits, and the killing income was 10 times greater than that of the 8th order lord monster. This also made the 8th order lords on the field have a target, and they all flocked to the 8th order lord monsters to issue offensive orders. Lin You didn't respond slowly. Before those 9th order lords stretched out their hands to the periphery, a large red light was already lit around. Savage Roar, activate. With the 30% attribute blessing, the cannons in the team directly aim at the nearest lord monster. With a bang, the Longyan bullet suddenly rushed out and swept away towards the lord monster. At the same time, Wuang on the side also activated the instant shadow skill. The speed suddenly doubled, and it turned into an afterimage and appeared behind the lord monster. With a two-pronged approach, the dagger and the Longyan bullet penetrated one after the other. Puff, the Jews swayed, and the monster didn't even have time to fight back, and the entire huge body fell to the ground with a bang. Kill the 8th order lord monster, and get 100,000 mana. One-hit kill. The cannon and Shad Alice burst under the full blast. The attack strength has reached more than 15,000, and it is no problem to drop the 8th order lord monsters in seconds. But what surprised Lin You was, after the lord monster was killed, it did not drop treasures, or the essence of the territory, but the light lit up and turned back into the original source fruit. Before the other lords could react, he took the source fruit into his arms with a single scroll from the nearest Wuang. Then the body twisted for a while, and disappeared in place in an instant. Also until this time, those shocked 8th order lords finally woke up, but found that Lin You had already fled with his troops, and it was too late to chase. At the same time, some of the 9th order lords spread out, and began to focus on the remaining 8th order lord monsters, which made the whole scene into chaos. Wherever the eyes go, there are shouts of killing. Countless armies scuffle together. Lin You originally wanted to kill one more lord monster, but after discovering that the 9th order lords had shifted their targets, he immediately changed his attention, and took the source fruit he just got away from the scene. After all, a source fruit is equivalent to 1,000 points of faith. For him to participate in this kind of battle, for the first time, Yu reading www.uknshu.com has been very satisfied. However, even so, he was still targeted by several 9th order lords, who followed him all the way into the forest, because in their opinion, it is obviously much easier to grab the source fruit from an 8th order lord than with other 9th order lords. And just now, they also saw with their own eyes that Lin Yu's troops took away the fruit of origin. How could such an excellent opportunity be easily let go? Quick, he ran over there. Follow me, don't let him escape. The speed of the 9th order lord is much faster than that of the 8th order lord. In less than half a minute, he caught up with Lin Yu less than 100 meters away. Lin Yu frowned, helpless. Originally, he thought about hiding through the forest, but he didn't expect to be caught up so quickly. Sure enough, it was not an easy task to take the fruit of origin from the eyes of these lords, even though he had already escaped quickly. If you were caught up by those 9th order lords, it will inevitably be another fierce battle, or you can only send random luck. But he didn't, because he has another less risky way. Come back. All the units were recalled to the source space, and Lin Yu directly dodged, and hid behind a big tree. Then the power of the rules works, and activates the Shadalis nihilistic skill next second. His body twisted and disappeared out of thin air. What's the matter? Why did he suddenly disappear? It must be behind that big tree. Hurry up, I want to see what tricks he can play. Several Ninth Order lords, who were chasing behind, suddenly accelerated, crossed the big tree and came to the rear, but they all froze in place. Behind the tree at this time, where is there any trace of Lin You? With the blessing of nihility skills, Lin You easily escaped the siege of the Ninth Order Lord. Just after the 30-second skill effect passed, he was already hundreds of meters away, and he escaped quietly with his hidden breath. It made Lin You have to sigh that this escape method was easy to use. After running for more than 10 minutes, and after confirming that no one was chasing after him, he gradually slowed down. But he didn't stop, because the ancient tree of origin will only bear fruit once a day. Even if you stay, the chances of grabbing other fruits are very small, and you will also put yourself in danger. Think about it. Immediately summon the Demon Emperor Dragon, rushed straight into the sky, and swept toward the periphery. At this time, the flying monsters in the air have already been easily solved by the Ninth Order Lords, who have arrived. It can be said that there is no obstruction along the way, and the oasis grassland will soon be left behind. It was only when he approached the outer area that Lin You breathed a sigh of relief. Boom! But at this moment, a loud noise came. The originally peaceful forest suddenly began to vibrate violently, and a boundless coercion appeared out of thin air, instantly covering the entire forest. The Demon Emperor Dragon flying in the air flickered, and almost fell from the sky. What happened? Lin You turned his head in shock and looked in the direction of the ancient tree of origin. Then, Tong Kong suddenly tightened. What did he see? A huge phantom towering above the ancient tree of origin. It was as if the torso of a giant stood proudly between the heavens and the earth, surrounded by suffocating energy, causing the entire sky to tumble violently. But right now, that suffocating aura was suppressed by the life aura of the original ancient tree, and gradually disappeared from sight, as if it had never appeared. But Lin You was deeply shocked by the breath just now, and his heart was horrified. Although the phantom and breath only appeared for a moment, but he was very familiar. It is exactly the same as the big hand and the heart of the mechanical empire he had seen in the desert area before. Beneath this ancient tree of origin, it actually suppressed the torso of that terrifying existence. He was really shocked. According to this rule, is there a part of that existence sealed in each area of the monster plane? This is also a little too bizarre. Use the power of one world to suppress. What kind of existence is that? Dare not stay long. Immediately let the Demon Emperor Dragon speed up and fly away from the center area, rushing towards the periphery at the same time. Inside a palace in the Eternal World, the great emperors from all walks of life who were gathering together to discuss the matter were all startled, and all looked in the direction of the center of the continent. This breath is the Forest of Dreams, and the seal of the Forest of Dreams has begun to loosen. A ray of light flashed in the eyes of Qianji, Great Emperor. I also felt it. It was indeed that power. Looking at this, it will be a matter of time before the seal is broken. We have to prepare in advance. Ha ha. After waiting for so long, our opportunity for the Realm Alliance has finally come, and it's time for those guys to see the power we have accumulated during this time. The entire palace was filled with voices full of supreme majesty. In addition to the leading emperors of the Eternal Realm and Demon Yuan Realm, there are also hundreds of emperors from other realms. This power burst out completely, and it can definitely destroy a realm in an instant. But they didn't. But it has been on hold until now. Now feeling the loosening of the seal of the Forest of Dreams and Demons, a fiery expression finally appeared in each and everyone's eyes. It seemed that the opportunity they had been waiting for had finally come. Compared to their ecstasy, the great emperors of all realms are not so easy. They all felt a trace of unusual signs, and they all gathered together to discuss the cause of this incident. Lao Jin, what do you think about this matter? Over the primitive continent, 10 lords and 3 aboriginal emperors gathered together, looking solemnly at the entrance of the plain. Known as Lao Jin, he was a tall lion orc with golden hair shining in the sun. Among the 3 great empires of the aborigines, the orcs, and the elves, the master of the Orc Empire, the Lion King Kaijin, seeing other great emperors asking, the Lion King snorted coldly, "It's none of my business, all these broken things are made by you lords, how to solve it is up to you, just call me when you want to take action." The emperors on the side were silent. However, it was precisely because of his words that the tense atmosphere eased a little. Immediately, standing with the great emperor Xianyu, the great emperor Lan Yuan, who was wearing a scarlet armor and cloak and a face full of stubble, said in a deep voice, "During this time, Xianyu and I went to investigate the Eternal World. They seem to be planning something big. I don't know if it has something to do with the seal." "You mean They might have some movement during this time. The other emperors looked at him. I'm not sure either. Emperor Long Yuan's eyes were sharp, but it must have something to do with this matter. Since this is the case, let's go to other realms and ask. The Eternal Realm and the Demon Yuan Realm are getting more and more restless, and we have to take precautions in advance. Okay, then let's split up. Lao Jin, the three of you, will stay here. Without talking nonsense, the 10 lords and emperors divided into 2 directions and directly tore the space and disappeared in place, leaving only 3 aboriginal emperors in place until their breath is gone. The graceful elf queen said slowly, "It seems that a disaster is inevitable. I don't know what the future fate of our world will be. I remember that your elves have sent an oracle before, right? And it still came to a human lord, and it didn't say anything." The human emperor in white robe asked in a low voice. "No." The elf queen shook her head slightly. "The oracle only indicates the arrival of disaster, and does not tell us what to do." "What about the human lord? Is there any difference?" the Lion King asked immediately. "He is indeed very special and has a talent far beyond ordinary people, but he is still too weak to predict anything for the time being." "Can't predict it? It seems that even the prophecies of your elves are invalid," the Lion King joked. However, his expression was extremely solemn. Even the elves who claim to be able to communicate with nature have no way of predicting what will happen. Obviously this event will not be so simple. So they didn't stay long, and after chatting for a while, they disappeared in place. The other side, in the Dream Demon Forest, Lin You, who left the central area, quickly retreated to the outskirts of the forest. He did not return to the territory immediately. Instead, while the lords are snatching the source fruit, they explore around the peripheral area and hunt monsters to collect magic energy. There are 4 ancient trees in total. They are located in the 4 directions of the Forest of Dream Demons. The fruiting of the fruit almost attracted all the 9th Order lords, making him almost unimpeded in the forest. In less than half an hour, 2 groups of insect monsters inhabiting the forest have been eliminated, and then continue to explore other places. Pause. Suddenly, Lin You noticed the abnormality and stopped the team. At this time, he was in a jungle like a tropical jungle. Above the head are all the vines tangled between the big trees, and the moss hanging down. This is not what Lin You cares about. What he cared about was a large patch of pitcher plants hanging from these trees. That's right, it is a monster similar to the pitcher plant that he mutated before, almost all over the entire area in front of him, like small green snakes. They are constantly swimming on the trees, eyeing them, and I don't know if it's because of the appearance of that terrifying torso just now. In a dense jungle in the distance, a lot of evil spirits filled the air, wrapping a purple pitcher plant that was bigger than other monsters. Name: Pig Cage Corruptor. Lord: Race Plant. Level: Level 9, SSS level. Strength: 8770, plus 8770. Physique: 8600, plus 8600. Agility: 8048, plus 8048. Spirit: 8700, plus 8700. Skills: Predator, Acid Earth, Corrosive Poison Mist. Chaos: all attributes increased by 100%. Introduction: originally a leader monster, for unknown reasons, he advanced to a lord monster, and his power has not yet stabilized. The newly advanced 9th Order Lord monster. Lin Yu was shocked. It was the first time he had encountered such a situation. Could it be that the power that escaped just now caused the surrounding monsters to begin to evolve? This is not good news, but at the same time very good news. The Lord monster is definitely an existence that is impossible to meet, not to mention the plant type, but that exaggerated attribute made him hesitate. Although the advanced level was not too high, the average attribute of more than 16,000 was still very difficult for him, and he didn't know whether to take this risk or not. Fuck, it's done. Finally, Lin Yu decided to give it a try. After all, there are not many wild lord monsters, and it is impossible to escape. Considering that the plant system was afraid of fire, he immediately summoned the cannon and the dozen or so burst shooters, and led the team slowly into the pitcher plant nest. When they were less than 100 meters away, the evolving pitcher plant lord found them. There was a big mouth full of fangs, and countless ordinary pitcher plants rushed out and surrounded them from all directions. Attack! With an order, Qin Gang immediately rushed forward with the ancient tree army and built a high defensive wall in front of the blasting shooter. He waved the sword energy in his hand and chopped several pitcher plants that rushed up under the sword. The cannons and burst shooters opened their mouths one after another and fired a series of fire attribute P bullets, swooping at the pitcher plants tangled in the trees. The other long-range units followed suit, and a large attack passed over the ancient tree legion to frantically output monsters, blocking their footsteps. Don't say it. The fire attack has a really great restraint on the plant system. Under the blessing of the destruction dragon flame secret treasure, the burst shooter's P bursts are like a god. Each round of shooting can instantly drop a few pitcher plants that rush up and burn a piece of dragon flame on their bodies. However, at this moment, the Lord Monster moved. Opening his mouth, the corrosive acid turned into acid rain and fell from the sky. The power is so strong that the body, including Qin Gang, has been corroded and riddled with holes. The two ancient trees of life who had just been recruited and had the lowest experience were killed instantly and fell to the ground as a pool of rotten wood. The offensive of the Ninth Order Lord Monsters is so terrifying. There was no need for Lin You to issue an order. The Lingxi and Huijing troops had already raised their staffs high and exploded with the power of nature. At the same time, Tan Tian and the Yuan Kua, who had inherited the curtain of life, followed suit. Two huge masks wrapped the army of plants, desperately resisting the corrosive attack of the pig cage. The Ninth Order Lord Monster is still too difficult for Lin You to deal with now. After resisting the first wave of the offensive and losing two more cactus boxers, he finally succeeded in taking the team out of the acid range. Suddenly, Lin Yu's step back stopped. He found that the pig cage corroder did not chase after him, but stayed in place and sprayed acid frantically. Take a closer look. It was because of the advanced relationship that the rhizome was tightly confined to the place and could only attack a distance of 100 meters away. And such a good thing. Lin Yu was in high spirits. There are quite a few arms that he can attack with a distance of more than 100 meters, and the pea shooter arm is one of them. Trigger the effect of the violet flower staff, and the Lingxi with double the casting distance is also counted as one. It's not much, but it's enough to deal with an immovable stake. What nonsense! He quickly gave orders to Lingxi and pea shooter troops. Quick, kill it while it's sick. When the voice fell, Lingxi took the lead. After killing a common pitcher plant and triggering the effect of the violet flower staff, the power of nature suddenly erupted, and the surrounding leaves immediately turned into countless sharp arrows, rushing towards the Lord Monster. The pig cage corruptor was madly twisted, but he couldn't dodge such a dense attack, and was immediately cut open with dense wounds, and the green liquid splashed all over the place. However, even if it is as strong as Lingxi, the damage to it is very limited. Those leaves are just scratching the surface of the defense, and it is impossible to kill them in a short time. Seeing this, Lin Yu directly condensed the power of the rules to unleash a savage roar, and a red glow instantly enveloped all the plants. Bang! Sparks exploded in the cannon's mouth, and a deadly sniper was launched. The flaming bullets with terrifying power swept through the jungle and slammed into the pig cage corruptor. The powerful skill blessing and the bonus of flame restraint finally successfully broke its defense and blew up its small half of the body. Very good. Lin Yu shouted excitedly, and immediately let the remaining explosive shooters spread out, attacking from all directions. For a time, bullets full of flames continued to shoot out, focusing on the seriously injured pig cage corroder, slowly consuming its vitality. Lingxi in the air erupted with skills one by one, accurately hitting the wounds opened by the cannon. The pig cage corroder twisted frantically, spewing a large amount of acid and poisonous mist from his mouth, but because of the limited movement, he could only be used as a fixed target, and his body wounds more and more. Finally, after another round of salvos, the deadly sniper of the cannon was launched together with the explosion of Lynx's spikes, and it exploded suddenly on its body, shattering its body in one fell swoop. Kill the Ninth Order Lord Monster, and get 1 million magic energy. It worked. Listening to the prompt in his mind, Lin Yu was in high spirits. Under normal circumstances, he would never be able to kill the Ninth Order Lord Monsters independently, but it happened that the other party was advancing, and he took advantage of it in vain. Seeing that the corruptor's body fell to the ground with a bang, and a large piece of treasure appeared, he immediately led the army team to push it all the way, and eliminated the remaining pitcher plant monsters along the way. Soon, he came to the corpse of the Lord Monster. At a glance, you can see the source crystal among more than a dozen things. The dazzling blue light made him happy. This one thing alone can completely lower the loss of his arms, and even have a large surplus. Without hesitation, he picked up the source crystal. I put it in my hand, and watched it for a while, and then I carefully put it into my personal space. This thing is now a scarce commodity. According to the exchange rate given to him by the king before, one source crystal is equivalent to 5 faith orbs. That is 5,000 faith. As long as he wants to make a move, there will definitely be many Ninth Order lords willing to exchange with him. Then he looked at the few remaining things. Needless to say, the essence of the territory, 1 9th rank and 10 8th rank. This alone made his tier 8 territory essence reach 42, which was finally enough to upgrade the territory. Of course, he can also save enough 100 to upgrade the 9th tier arms, but that doesn't mean much to him, it's better to keep it for future upgrades. The remaining two things surprised Lin You even more, because these two things are nothing else. They are the secret treasures of the two plants that can be used. Army treasure, healing protection, treasure type, enhancement, treasure level, SSS level, treasure effect. The healing effect is increased by 4%, and the target treated by this unit will gain a healing shield, which offsets 40% of the damage of an attack. It is triggered every 10 seconds and can be used by plants. Army treasure, Elf of the Wind, treasure type, enhancement, treasure level, SSS level, treasure effect. Agility is increased by 4%. When using acceleration skills, the effect is extended by 4 seconds, and there is a 40% chance to evade all attacks. Flying troops can be used. Both are enhanced treasures, and one of them is an upgraded version of his existing secret treasure. He is currently using the healing protection, but it is only S rank. This SSS level is not only more effective, but even the trigger interval has been shortened to 10 seconds, just enough to replace the old one. As for the other wind spirit, the special acceleration treasure for flying arms, the effect is also very good. He has always wanted to get a suitable secret treasure for the Plant Dragon Legion, and now he finally got it. With the blessing of this secret treasure, the speed of the Demon Emperor Dragon and Demon Empress Dragon increased again, and the effect of the Swift Shadow skill was directly extended to 14 seconds. It also comes with dodging attacks, which is simply the best way to fight on the road. Lin You really couldn't think of any more suitable secret treasure for this branch. I didn't expect this luck to be so good this time. So many things that I can use have been revealed at one time, which is really an unprecedented harvest. Sure enough, the flora area is the most suitable for him. After putting away the things, he picked up a few fangs of the Lord Monster as spares, and he immediately left the scene with his troops in a hurry. Last time, it was because of the leak of the source crystal that the Ninth Order Lord was intercepted. For Safida's sake, it's better to leave here quickly, so as not to be discovered. Counting the time, the asterisk of those original fruits should be over soon. When the battle is over, there will definitely be a large number of Ninth Order Lords spread out, and the probability of encountering other Realm Lords will be greatly increased. That is to say, don't stay here for long. It just so happened that he had to go back to replenish his troops. Without thinking too much, Lin You rode the Demon Emperor Dragon and swept high into the sky, rushing to the edge of the forest, all the way through the forest to return to the Mechanical Empire, and then take the train to the control center. It took him more than an hour to finally return to the sanctuary. However, Lin You did not immediately teleport back to the territory. Instead, they set up stalls on the central island and waited silently. It was not what he expected. It didn't take long for the Ninth Order Lords, who went to the source fruit to appear one after another, and they all rushed back from the outside. It's really unfortunate. I almost grabbed the second source fruit just now. It's good if you can grab one, but I didn't even grab one. It wasn't because of the guys in the Yuansha realm. If it wasn't for them, I would have succeeded long ago. That is, next time you meet them, you must give them some color to see. The lords passed through the entrance of the plane in groups, cursing one by one. Looks like they've just been through a big fight. It's also thanks to Lin Yu's quick reaction that he grabbed the fruit and ran away immediately. Otherwise, if he was involved in the Ninth Order battle, I'm afraid he would not be able to help him in the end. What surprised him was that among these Ninth Order Lords, there were acquaintances of him. It was Shin Chunfeng and others who helped him out before. They seemed to have achieved a good harvest this time, with smiles all over their faces, and just passed by Lin Yu's booth. "Ha, brother, are you back so soon?" Shin Chunfeng found Lin Yu next to the booth at a glance, and couldn't help showing a surprised expression. "Yeah, not long after I came back. I didn't expect us to meet again so soon." Lin Yu nodded to them. "Haha, that means we are more destined." Shin Chunfeng laughed and went straight to the booth, wondering, "I see your booth is empty. Did you just set it up?" "Yes. There is something I want to do. I wonder if my brother is interested," Lin Yu said mysteriously. "Oh, what?" Shin Chunfeng looked curious. Several of his companions looked very interested. They don't think that Lin Yu, an Eighth Order Lord, can come up with anything that makes them tempted. "The reason why I have the time to come and have a look is purely because I am in a good mood." However, Lin Yu's next sentence changed their expressions. "If I say that I have a source crystal in my hand, do you believe it?" "Original crystal. Are you sure you have the source crystal?" "That's something you can only get by killing Lord monsters above the 9th rank." Shin Chunfeng and others looked at Lin Yu suspiciously, and didn't quite believe his words. But seeing Lin Yu's serious expression, not like he was lying, made them suspicious. "You really have? Then what do you want to change?" "The Orb of Faith. The source crystal is the thing that focuses on its accumulation. A single crystal is not very useful to Lin Yu, so it is better to replace it with the power of faith, to improve the current combat power." Shen Chunfeng and the others obviously did not expect him to be so determined, and looked at each other in dismay. But still holding the idea that it would be better to kill by mistake and not let it go, he pondered and said, "If you really have it, I can give you 5,000 beliefs to exchange with you." "Okay, let's make a deal." Lin You didn't talk nonsense, and sent him a transaction application directly. Shen Chunfeng made a strange choice, and an interface popped up in front of him. Immediately after, he saw a faint blue crystal appear on the trading interface. "Ha, you really have," Shen Chunfeng said with great surprise. The few people on the side heard the words, and they were all full of surprised expressions. It's not that he was shocked by the source crystal, but also because of Lin Yu's strength. A small 8th order lord can actually get things on the 9th order lord monster. To know that monsters of that level, even if their entire team is dispatched, they have to deal with it carefully, and spend a lot of money to kill them. And it can't be above S rank. When an ordinary 8th order lord encounters it, he can't even break the defense, let alone kill it. But no matter how surprised Shen Chunfeng was, this source crystal was still to be won. Immediately searched in the personal space, put 10 intermediate faith orbs with 500 faith points on the trading interface, and then choose to trade. When Lin You returned to the territory, it was already afternoon. Holding the 10 intermediate faith orbs he just got, he quickly came under the world tree. "Do you want to use belief orb? Intermediate? Use all." When the sound fell, all the faith orbs turned into streamers and merged into the world tree. At the same time, a huge energy poured into the body to strengthen the body, and his power of belief has also risen to more than 25,000, and he has finally successfully crossed half of the threshold. As for the source fruit, Lin You did not immediately exchange it, but planned to save a certain amount first. After all, there are only 1,000 beliefs. Exit the interface. He took the newly obtained secret treasure to the army base, and bound it to the lantern grass and the plant dragon branch. As for the replaced low-level secret treasure, I will keep it for the time being, and if there is a chance in the future, I can sell it or exchange it for something else. After some operations, his strength has been greatly improved, and he has finally replaced the secret treasures of all arms with SSS level 1s. There are only a few auxiliary equipment such as planting arms, dandelions, and ancient knowledge trees, and there are no secret treasures. That's it. There's still some time. Let's take a look outside. Glancing at the sky, Lin You no longer stayed in the territory, and walked outside with Lingxi to check the situation in Huangsha City. After several months of development, the urban area of Huangsha City has expanded to 4 or 5 times its original size, covering almost the entire forest area. And due to the particularity of his territory, the urban construction was divided into upper and lower floors, on the ground and on the trees. In the forest, a traffic network extending in all directions is constructed, and in various urban areas, there are lively scenes of cars and people coming and going. Especially when the afternoon was approaching, there were many caravans and carriages from other surrounding cities that drove into the city one after another. Lin You strolled around the new city, and finally found Shua Changui and Wei Gang, who were talking in the east of the forest near the Gobi. Lord, I have seen the Lord." Seeing Lin Yu's arrival, the two immediately saluted him respectfully. Lin Yu raised his hand slightly. "No gift. How is the construction here recently?" As he said that, he also glanced at the simple checkpoints outside the forest, and the guards who were patrolling back and forth. "Go back to the Lord. The construction of the main city is basically on the right track. It only takes time to develop. It is the defensive checkpoint. There are still some problems." Shua Changui said. "What's the problem?" Lin Yu retracted his gaze and looked at him. Before Shua Changui could answer, Wei Gang, on the side, had already said, "That's it. Today there is a report from a hunting team, and the monsters in the Gobi seem to be stronger and more irritable than before." "What else?" Lin Yu's eyes moved. For some reason, after hearing Wei Gang's report, he inexplicably remembered the torso phantom he saw in the Forest of Nightmares today. Yes, those monsters have not only become stronger, but their numbers have also increased a lot. Today, there were 2 waves of beasts running out of the Gobi. The original fortifications at the checkpoint were not enough, so I will discuss the expansion with Director Shue. Things expand, Lin Yu murmured to himself, and couldn't help but look at the checkpoints outside the forest used to guard against the beast hordes. They were all just a few rows of wood and fences. It was indeed a bit rudimentary. Outside the checkpoint, there are also many practitioners and the corpses of monsters being processed all over the place. It should have just experienced the impact of the beast tide, and it seems that the number is indeed a lot more than before. If you sit back and ignore it, the garrison of Huangsha City may be difficult to support, and casualties will occur. If he is attacked by monsters and rushes into the city to destroy it while he is not there, then his loss will be huge. It will even directly affect his acquisition of the power of faith. This will not work. After thinking about it for a while, he said, In this case, let's slow down the expansion of the city for a while, and mobilize some people to build a new defensive checkpoint and city wall in this area outside, connecting it to the mountain range. The Lord's intention is to completely isolate the Yellow Sand City from the Gobi, and defend it according to the city, Shuechangui said in surprise. To build a city wall from here to the mountains, the amount of work is not ordinary, and the manpower and material resources required are not much smaller than the construction of the urban area, especially in the selection of defensive materials and equipment. There should be no sloppiness, after all. It is the front line to resist the beast tide. Yes, the urban area was small in the past, and it always relied on manpower and equipment to stop the beast tide. It's different now. The urban area and the population have increased, and the previous methods can no longer be used. I'll transfer 50 million to the working capital later, plus the original 30 million, all of which will be used to purchase materials and recruit people. Lin Yu earned so much magic energy. In addition to improving his own strength, it is for the rapid development of the territory. Therefore, in this regard, it is natural not to be stingy, and directly click on the territory interface to transfer 50 million magic energy into the funds of Huangsha City. This is probably one of his strengths, a construction territory that can have more resources, at least in terms of territorial development. He believes that he is not inferior to any tier 8 lord, correct? Then, Lin Yu thought of something, waved his hand, and the material piled up into a hill appeared on the open space. You can use these 9th order materials to make the dwarves into equipment and use them to improve the strength of the guards. 9th order. Wei Gang's eyes suddenly widened, looking at the pile of materials in front of him. The number is huge, and it is not a problem to create dozens of sets of 9th order equipment. This really for us? Wei Gang couldn't help swallowing. Shuechangui, who was next to him, was also very shocked when he heard the words. Their lord actually killed so many 9th order monsters. Of course it's for you. You can see the arrangement yourself. Remember to give it to someone you can trust. Lin Yu urged. Don't worry, Lord. Your subordinates will do it well. Wei Gang was shocked and answered quickly. Okay, let's get busy. I'll go outside to see the situation. Lin Yu didn't say anything more, and directly summoned the Demon Emperor Dragon, swept out the checkpoint in a whistling wind, and flew to the depths of the Gobi. The huge figure immediately caused the nearby pedestrians to exclaim, "Congratulations to the Lord!" Shuechangui and Wei Gang's shouts echoed at the checkpoint and watched Lin Yu leave. At this time, the speed of the Demon Emperor Dragon was far from the same as before. The speed was so fast that he crossed the periphery of the Gobi in a blink of an eye, leaving Huangsha City far behind. Accelerate. With Lin Yu's order, the Demon Emperor Dragon directly activated the Quick Shadow skill, and the speed suddenly increased. Immediately afterwards, the effect of the Elf Treasure of the Wind was triggered, and the entire huge body of the Demon Emperor Dragon began to become illusory, and even Lin Yu, who was on his back, was distorted. This is a riding effect. Lin Yu was astonished. He didn't expect that the evasion attack effect of the new artifact would also be effective on the rider. As such, when he rides the Demon Emperor Dragon to speed up his escape in the future, he will still have a 40% chance to evade attacks, and his escape ability will be directly improved by a step. Good effect. Lin Yu couldn't help but let out a sigh of admiration, feeling the cool breeze constantly passing by his side, and the speed suddenly accelerated. In less than half an hour, he had come to the depths of the Gobi. It was exactly as Wei Gang said. There are more monsters on the Gobi. Monsters can be seen everywhere, running on the vast loess, and even the number of monsters' nests is denser than before. Lin Yu passed over a black wolf pack, and immediately jumped out of the attribute interface in front of him. Name, Dark Demon Wolf. Normal. Race, Beast. Level 8, Level F. Strength, 2040, plus 408. Physique, 1985, plus 397. Agility, 2180, plus 436. Spirit, 2000, plus 400. Skills, Rush, Shadow Assault, Shadow Arrow, Chaos. All attributes increased by 20%. Introduction: a wolf-like monster that walks in the dark, likes to live in groups, and has a strong night fighting ability. F class. After reading the attributes, Lin Yu couldn't help being surprised. The ordinary monsters in the Gobi were actually infected by chaos and began to evolve. This reminded him of the 9th order Lord monster that he killed today, and it also evolved. Once can be said to be accidental, but twice it is impossible to say. Could it be that? Did the accident in the monster plane actually affect the monsters on the continent? Or is the chaotic atmosphere in the monster plane infiltrating into all realms? If that's the case, that's great, because he clearly knows what it is that caused this series of changes. It is the terrifying existence suppressed under the monster plane. Lin Yu didn't know what these changes were heralding, but he could feel that something big was about to happen, and it is likely to be a major event sweeping the entire world. Frightened, he immediately went to other places to check other monsters, and sure enough, all of them had evolved to varying degrees. Most of them are F grade, and a small number reach E grade. It's only been a day. If it continues like this, it is only a matter of time before it evolves to a level, or even S level, and it is even possible that a leader, or even a lord monster will evolve, which will greatly increase the difficulty of defense. From this point of view, his decision to build a defensive wall and strengthen the defense of the territory is still very wise. In this way, I walked around the Gobi and hunted a few monsters that looked delicious. Only then did Lin You activate the territory teleportation array and teleport back directly. SHH. The light comes on. He returned to the territory again. Seeing that evening was coming, I took the monsters I just hunted, peeled and cleaned them up, and prepared to have a barbecue and enjoy it. Fuck, brothers, the monsters around my territory have evolved. At this moment, a message suddenly popped up on the Principality channel, and finally other lords also discovered the mutation of the monster. For a while, all the lords were talking about it. Yours has evolved too. I thought it was just me. I also encountered the same situation. What the is going on here? Grass. When I went out today, the territory was swept away by the evolved beast tide, and it was almost unstoppable. It's a good thing. I used to have only 6th order monsters at the highest, and after the upgrade, 7th order monsters have begun to appear. This is to speed up the pace of upgrading for all people. The news of the monster mutation continued to ferment. In just 2 days, the sanctuary was full of voices discussing this matter. For this change, naturally some people are happy, and some are worried. The worry is because of the uncertainty and danger brought about by the mutation of monsters. Happy, because of the increase in monster resources. The increase in the level of monsters and the emergence of bosses or lord monsters will still have many benefits for many resource-poor territories. It can only be said that it varies from person to person. Originally, Lin You was a little worried about what might happen, but thinking about him as an 8th order lord, even if something really happened, it didn't seem to change anything. So in the end, what should I do? I would go to the Forest of Nightmare every day to continue to **** the original fruit. But unfortunately, after 2 days, he only grabbed one origin fruit and got it by accident. After all, the strength is limited. There is no way. Although he is now confident that he can retreat under the hands of the 9th order lord, but if he wants to reach the point where he can compete, he has to rise to the 9th order. But even so, Lin You still will not give up this opportunity to quickly accumulate the power of faith. This is not. Early in the morning, he had already arrived at the center of the Nightmare Forest, and waited outside the ancient tree of origin. Brother Lin You, come so early today. In the distance, Shin Chunfeng and his party came slowly. Yeah, come early to get a good seat. Seeing Shin Chunfeng and others, Lin You immediately nodded to them. These days they often meet here, and they are considered to be relatively familiar with each other. And the other party didn't put on any airs to him like the other 9th orders, and it was relatively approachable. A few brothers are planning to **** the 9th order lord monsters later. Lin You asked. Of course, although there is a lot of competition in the 9th order, if you are lucky, it is possible to grab 2 or 3 fruits at once. Shin Chunfeng said with a smile. This is a question of upper and lower bounds. Although it is easier for the 8th order lord monster to grab the fruit, the upper limit is only 1. But the 9th order lord monster is different. One day when the luck is overwhelming, and a few fruits just fall to your feet, you can get rich instantly. In addition, Shin Chunfeng and the others were working in a team, and some people took cover. Even if they are besieged, they still have the energy to escape from the scene with the fruit. This is the difference between working together and working alone, correct? Suddenly, Shin Chunfeng's words changed. When we just came here, we met several guys from the Boundary Alliance on the periphery. You have to be careful when you go back. The Realm Alliance. Lin You was secretly shocked. He knew that there was a Realm Alliance in the vicinity, but now is the critical time when the fruit of origin is about to bear fruit. There are still so many people from the Realm Alliance staying on the periphery of the forest. Do not know why. He had an uneasy feeling, but before he could think about it, a low voice suddenly sounded from the crowd in the distance, and a large piece of light began to rapidly converge towards the ancient tree of origin. We'll have a chance to talk again when the result is over. Shin Chunfeng and others froze, and immediately rushed towards the depths with the troops. And Lin You also summoned all the arms, and didn't think about anything other than competing for the fruit coming. At this time, I don't know who shouted. The original fruit on the canopy of the ancient original tree began to peel off, and gradually changed into the lord monsters of the 8th and 9th order in the air, and crashed to the ground. For a moment, the field shouted and shouted. All the lords swarmed up with their troops, and launched a fierce attack. Lin You didn't hesitate, and immediately stared at an 8th order source entangler on the periphery. Cannon. With an order, the muzzle of the cannon exploded, shooting out a stream of flames, swept away towards the source entangler, going to get rid of it before the other lords react. However, this tried and true trick failed today. Seemingly feeling the threat of death, the source entangler, who had just landed, suddenly twisted his body and burrowed directly into the ground, avoiding the fatal blow of the cannon. Then, the ground exploded, and the source entangler appeared again, and the vines on his body were inserted into the ground and spread rapidly around. Go, get rid of it. Haha, this source fruit is mine. Think beautifully, stop him for me. For a time, the 8th order lords, who were in the vicinity, rose up one after another, leading the troops to surround the source entanglers, and launched a fierce attack. The lords who can appear here are not weak. In just a blink of an eye, the vine protection of the source entangler was announced to be broken, and the sky attack fell on its body, constantly exploding. Even Lin Yu's Shadalis couldn't get close to half a minute. The lords kept shouting and shouting, directing the troops to attack. Under such an intensive offensive, even an 8th order lord monster stronger than the source entangler can only roar again and again, and gradually lose. Finally, after another round of focus fire, the source entangler was successfully killed. The huge body shrank rapidly, changed back to the original source fruit again, and slowly fell from the air. The lords were shocked and immediately issued orders to the troops around them. Quick, grab it. The original fruit is mine. Thinking beautifully, stop him. Resist the ring of fire. As soon as the origin fruit appeared, the whole scene instantly became a mess. Countless lord troops wanted to rush up to grab the fruit, but a large number of attacks fell immediately, forcing them all back. The fruit that shone with the breath of life has also changed hands several times in a short period of time, and its position has changed constantly. Peace domain. At this moment, a low drink suddenly sounded in the crowd. Just listening to the sound of hum, the green light curtain spreads, wrapping all the troops and lords around the source fruit. The attack, which was still extremely dense, dissipated in an instant, and fell into a strange calm. What's going on? Why are all the attacks ineffective? My attack is also ineffective. I can't even use skills. No, the fruit was robbed. An exclamation spread through the ears of all the lords, causing their expressions to change suddenly. However, it was too late, because Lin You had already taken advantage of the duration of the peace domain. He rushed up and grabbed the original fruit and put it in his personal space. Then, without thinking about it, he activated the void skill and disappeared in place. When everyone reacts, where's the shadow of the original fruit in front of them? Dry. The fruit was snatched away. What happened? Why did that person suddenly disappear? It seems to be a stealth skill. Many lords don't know the specific function of the godhead fragments, so they can only blame everything on the skills of the troops. But even so, Lin Yu's series of operations just now still shocked them. How could someone possess such a bizarre ability? What if it was used for assassination? Fortunately, most of the contestants in the outer area are the 8th order lords, and only a small number of 9th order lords. With 30 seconds of stealth time, Lin Yu quickly fled the scene, and soon left them far behind. Especially this time, he also used the peace domain specially. During the duration, even the 9th order lords can't take him. In this way, he ran all the way and observed the movements around him. He soon fled to the fringes, far from the battle areas of the lords. However, what Lin Yu never expected was, at this moment, a loud shout suddenly came from a distance. Go! The sound fell, and the whole ground boomed with a loud noise, and began to vibrate violently. On the edge of the coverage area of the ancient source tree, a huge white light curtain gradually rose, which actually isolated the battle area, where they were from the surrounding forest. Immediately after, the light curtain spreads upward rapidly, forming a semicircular cover over the entire area, besieging all the lords. Even the trunks of the original ancient trees were slowly wrapped. The sudden change suddenly caused the lords, who were robbing the fruit, to stop and look around. After some well-informed 9th order old lords saw this light curtain, their expressions suddenly changed. Not good. It's a blockade. Get out of here. In exclamation, he directly gave up the fruit snatch, mounted a flying mount and rushed into the sky, trying to rush out of the gap that had not been completely closed. Unfortunately, they were still a step too late. When they flew to the top of the mast, the gap was completely closed. At the same time, a reminder sounded in the minds of all the lords. Lords, please note that the current space is blocked, and all teleportation skills are invalid. Space blocked. Hearing the prompt, Lin Yu trembled in his heart. In the end, who is so generous to come up with such a large array to block the entire ancient source tree area? This is afraid that the 9th order lord can't do it, right? And many more. The 9th order lord. Suddenly, Lin Yu was stunned, recalling what Shin Chunfeng said to him just before the start of the battle. He seemed to have mentioned that, when he came over this morning, he met several teams of people from the Realm Alliance. Is it their fault? This is trouble. Such a big effort was obviously planned for a long time, specifically targeting the Ninth Order lords of all walks of life. Unexpectedly, even he was implicated. How dare he think too much, seeing that the light curtain is only a few hundred meters away from him. He immediately rushed up and slashed out. Chung! A violent collision sounded in his ears. Lin You only felt the tiger's mouth tremble, and a powerful anti-shock force swept in, blasting his whole body out, and the blood in his body surged. What a powerful array. Lin Yu was horrified, stabbed the knife into the ground, and managed to stabilize his body at the same time. Other directions above, the lords who reacted also came to the edge with their respective arms, and launched a frantic attack on the magic circle, which only caused a lot of ripples. There is absolutely no way to cause substantial damage to the magic circle. It's useless. This is built with our countless resources. You just die obediently and become our sacrifices to the ancient gods. Suddenly, a loud laughter spread throughout the array. In the forest in the distance, dense figures rushed out, and a group of Ninth Order lords rode flying mounts to the outside of the magic circle, surrounding the entire magic circle in the middle. He is a member of the Realm Alliance. Seeing the appearance of these people from the Realm Alliance, Lin You finally understood why they would wander back to the periphery of the forest. It turned out to be to build this blockade formation and trap them all. To this end, he even dispatched nearly 5,000 Ninth Order lords, and the troops with them almost filled the entire surrounding of the large formation. The Realm Alliance, it's you again. You don't think you can deal with us, with just these people? You are fighting against all realms. In the blockade, the Ninth Order lords shouted angrily, and also flew into the air on flying mounts. There were tens of thousands of lords, competing for the source fruit this time, and they are all people with heads and faces from all realms. To be an enemy of them is almost equivalent to being an enemy of the realm behind them. To fight against so many realms at one time, no realm has dared to do this since ancient times, but the Realm Alliance has done it. Don't they fear that other realms will unite to put pressure on them? Lin Yu couldn't understand at all, but what he cares more about is what the other party just said. An offering to an ancient god. Could it be the body that was suppressed here? The Realm Alliance wants to use them as sacrifices and release the terrifying thing underneath. Lin Yu, who figured this out, suddenly set off a storm in his heart. Haha, what about being an enemy of Wanji? You should take care of yourself first, and do it. The people from the Realm Alliance also talked nonsense to them, shouted loudly, and summoned all the arms. Lin Yu was puzzled. This blockade formation should be non-aggressive, even if they are trapped in the big formation. The number of Ninth Orders on their side is 2 or 3 times that of the other side. Why is the Realm Alliance so confident that they can deal with them? As if to answer his doubts. At this moment, the lords of the Realm Alliance took out a black crystal, and held it high above their heads. Then, wisps of energy floated out from their arms, and converged into the black crystal, causing it to burst into a large radiant black light, and projected it into the large formation. Boom! With a loud bang, the ground began to vibrate violently. On the ground beneath the ancient tree of origin, cracks suddenly appeared, spreading rapidly around. What's the situation? It seems that something is coming out. Everyone spread out, the lords in the great formation exclaimed, and fled in all directions, all with a look of horror on their faces, because they felt a terrifying power from the bottom of the crack, and it turned into a suffocating energy, and continued to spread from the crack. In the end, with a loud bang, the land collapsed and the gravel splashed. Gradually, it converged into a headless colossus with a height of 100 meters, standing beside the trunk of the ancient tree of origin. Name: Headless Giant Statue. Leader: Race: Demon. Level: 10th Order, S level. Strength: 45,000, plus 36,000. Physique: 45,000, plus 36,000. Agility: 45,000, plus 36,000. Spirit: 45,000, plus 36,000. Skills: Root of Calamity, Source of Fear, Power of Barbarian God, Abyss Dream Demon, Chaos. All attributes increased by 80%. Introduction: The Abyss monsters summoned by special props. The strength is determined by the amount of energy instilled. A symbol of darkness and destruction. 10th Order. It's actually a 10th Order monster. This moment, everyone was shocked, and their eyes were full of horror. Those 8th Order lords were so frightened that their legs became weak, and they were almost unsteady. The average attribute is as high as 80,000 or more, let alone them. Even those veteran 9th Order lords are terrified. I finally understand why the Realm Alliance has the confidence to say that they will sacrifice all of them. This is simply a long-planned plan. How come? 10 10th Order monsters. Am I wrong? Run away. The lords from all walks of life took a deep breath, and all fled to the edge in horror, shouting incessantly. Ha ha ha. It's useless. You can't escape this blockade. Obviously die. The arrogant laughter of the Realm Alliance came from outside. After using the summoning props, they and the troops around them seemed a little sluggish, but their spirits were extremely excited. As long as these tens of thousands of Ninth Order lords are killed, their plan will be successfully completed. At that time, it will not be other realms who come to trouble them, but they will find trouble in other realms. Come on, kill them all. With a loud shout, the giant statue in the big formation finally moved. The terrifying and boundless, evil spirit erupted with it as the center, swept away all around, and instantly enveloped the entire interior of the great formation. Affected by Root of Calamity, 2% HP is reduced every second. Affected by Source of Fear, all attributes are reduced by 20%. Listening to the prompt in his mind, Lin Yu's expression changed. When I clicked on the arm's interface, I saw that they were all affected by the abnormal state. Fortunately, he has the Frost Spirit suit, which has a 25% resistance to abnormal conditions, plus the bonus of Godhead fragments, which only reduces the attributes by 14%. But slashing lives per second was tricky, forcing him to keep healing at all times. After releasing the double curse skills, the giant statue raised its arms dozens of meters long, and slammed down the lords who were fleeing. Boom! What? The gravel rose up into the sky, accompanied by a shrill scream. Some lords and troops who didn't have time to escape were blasted out by Yue and smashed to pieces. Just one hit. Several Ninth Order lords died on the spot. Seeing this, the other lords felt a chill in their hearts, and tried their best to stay away from where the giant statue was. However, the giant statue did not give them a chance to escape at all. With its terrifying speed, with the sound of roaring footsteps, it slaughtered and killed in the crowd. The whole scene was chaotic, and the screams continued one after another. Don't panic, everyone. Monsters summoned by such props generally have a time limit. Let's work together to hold them back. Finally, a Ninth Order lord with a stern face stood up and stopped the panicked crowd. The space for the blockade is limited, and blindly escaping will only make you die faster. It is better to fight for it. There are tens of thousands of ninth rank lords, each with hundreds of thousands of troops. Even if there is no way to break the defense, at least it can delay the time as much as possible. That's right. Let's go together. Come here if you don't want to die. So many of us are fighting it. The lords who can reach the Ninth Order almost all climbed out of the sea of corpse and blood, standing out from thousands of people. After the initial panic, he calmed down immediately. Glancing at each other, they quickly gathered together to form a huge army of arms in the big formation. One by one, the Ninth Order lords stood in the team, imposing like a rainbow, and their eyes were sharp. The body exudes the arrogance that the Eighth Order lord does not have. Attack! I don't know who shouted, and the entire army team finally moved. It rushed out of the team and swept into the sky, turning into a black tide, attacking the giant statue from all directions at the same time. The Ninth Order lords held various props high, and a large dazzling brilliance burst out, and the momentum of the arms suddenly increased to an unprecedented height. The beastization of the humanoid type, the rush of the beasts of the beast type, the sea of skulls of the undead type, the fusion of the 5 elements of the element type. All the lord's means are exhausted. Blessings of various faculties continued to rise, and a blast of weather erupted under the original ancient tree, forming a magnificent and spectacular picture. So strong. Lin You was shocked, watching this magnificent scene from a distance. Compared with this, the battles he participated in before were like playing at home, and there was no comparison at all. He didn't run away. He joined the team with his troops, and used long-range support. Boom! The earth shook violently. Under the siege of so many powerful arms, the giant statue is still imposing like a rainbow, and a pair of huge arms swept wildly, sweeping out all the troops that rushed up. Some are even directly trampled into meat mud. Then, there are more arms to fill the vacancy, blocking its footsteps. Lin You mixed in with the team, and directly activated the barbaric roaring filial piety, and 2 guardian skills to boost the surrounding units. Unfortunately, these lords are not in the same realm as him. The rules are different, and they cannot be affected by his skills. But this is the case. They still rely on the advantage of numbers to gradually drag the giant statue with the tactics of the sea, making it impossible to continue to move forward. It was blocked. Outside the magic circle, the lords of the Realm Alliance looked at the field with gloomy expressions. I didn't expect these lords to unite so quickly and block the attack of the giant statue. If it weren't for the 2-way rebound attack of the magic circle, they all wanted to attack from the outside, and they would cooperate with the giant statue. Don't worry, the giant statue combines the strength of so many of us, but it's more than that. At this moment, a sneer suddenly sounded from the crowd. As if in response to the man's words, a terrifying suffocating aura suddenly emerged from the statue of the giant god, which was being besieged by the sky. wrapping its entire body. Godly power launch. In an instant, the power attribute of the giant statue skyrocketed, directly breaking through 100,000. Then there was an explosion at the sole of the foot. Huge body could easily break through the encirclement of the troops and leap into the sky. Not good. Hurry up. The faces of the lords changed greatly, and they retreated in panic. But how can their speed be comparable to the 10th order giant statue? Just a few steps back, the giant statue has already fallen from the sky. Boom. What? Another large area of lords were killed instantly, and even their troops fell to the ground in mourning, and the ground was red with blood. Lin You and the team was shocked to find out. The blood that flowed from the corpses gradually converged toward the bottom of the original ancient tree along the rhizomes, and above the ancient tree of origin, a phantom of the torso is looming, and it seems to be much more solid than the one I have seen before. This is using their blood to break the seal that suppressed the torso. Lin You was shocked, immediately recalled the giant hand that reached the sky in the large secret realm in the desert area. It was only by absorbing the blood of the lords that the seal was finally broken. It's exactly the same situation as it is now. After the third round of assessment, it was a short rest period. Both the audience and the examinees can find something to eat. Shiyu quietly stared at the small TV, and now there is the last scene. Yin Zhengfen vs. Jika. Jika is the seed candidate, who is dressed in fancy clothes, similar to martial arts costumes. Her strength is also good. The two pet beasts follow the technical flow. For example, her water blade Montes has created a fancy sword technique with the water flow slashing move as the core. Unfortunately, she met Yin Zhengfen. The content of this chapter on the website is wrong. Please download the app on your mobile phone to read the correct content. Yin Zhengfen's main rock giant beast was a deterrent. Kong Jingdi was a space shackle, and directly took her two pet beasts away. Yin Zhengfen's main rock behemoth also has deterrence, but when Yin Zhengfen showed it, everyone was not surprised. There are green worms in front of them that can master the power of dragons. The iron-eating beasts of the medium extraordinary race can master deterrence, and the main rock beasts, a pet beast of the king race, can awaken the qualifications of kings. So Tet is scientific. Although the technical flow is good, it must also be supported by strength. After watching the battle, Shiyu felt this way. With the same combat strength, he was really handsome, but when he encountered a master, he was immediately blinded. Asking 11 to use the continuous thunder palm to hit a set of gorgeous and fancy palm techniques is far less convenient than direct doubling, plus thunder palm all-out strike. The thunder cloud elves will be shocked by thunder, and this main rock beast will deter them. It's not very easy to do. 11 and Chongkong ate in silence, not wanting to listen to the Beastmaster Versailles. Not doing well is equal to not being able to seconds. That is really not easy to do. Fortunately Yin Zhengfen didn't contract too many beasts. Shiyu got up and moved his body. Yin Zhengfen is a talent for strengthening the beast space. In theory, he can now contract 4 beasts. However, due to the short time he has become a beast master, he can't cultivate it. Currently, he has only contracted 2 beasts. If his contract is full, Shiyu and the others will be under great pressure. I'm going to order a boxed lunch, Shiyu said to Shusho and Chong. Although I have eaten a lot of snacks and supplements in the house, it is still time for lunch. Ancient Capital Arena. With the end of the third round of assessment, there were only a few scattered people left here. During the lunch break, whether it is a player or a spectator, it is necessary to have a meal. This time, Shiyu sat quietly on the high platform with a boxed lunch. Taking advantage of the few people, he looked down at the venue from the perspective of the audience and other candidates. Looking at himself on the field from this angle, he must be very handsome. It's faded. Shiyu took the last bite of the boxed lunch, and then planned to get up and go back to wait for the start of the afternoon battle, when the phone suddenly rang. The caller, Sister Panda. What's wrong? Shiyu answered the phone. Where are you? The review passed. Refers to the evolution of the Iron Beast. Just now on my father's side, and Director Li's side, they all got the news. On the other end of the phone was Lin Yu's excited tone. Shiyu smiled slightly. Although he already knew, he still said, really? Well, look at the time. It will be announced on donguang.com at 1300 in the afternoon. Donguang.com, the official media of the ancient kingdom of Donguang, is the most formal information website. Shiyu glanced at the time. It was currently 12:30, that is to say, half an hour later. At the same time, it also happened to be the time when the first session of the afternoon assessment began. He versus Zhang Qianyi. Look forward to. Shiyu looked at the time and said, then I have to show my hands well, and then I will advertise on the spot after the battle. There are so many bigwigs on the scene, maybe they can get some investment. Now, Shiyu and Senior Panda's Bamboo Stone Martial Arts Center and Iron-Eating Beast Breeding Base are in a state of win-win cooperation. Iron-Eating Animal Breeding Base, Cultivating and breeding iron-eating beasts. Bamboo and Stone Martial Arts Hall. Teaching methods of cultivating iron-eating beasts. Senior Panda's family has other industries and grows food resources related to iron-eating beasts. He is the chief evolutionary planner of the iron-eating beast and the spokesperson of the Pingcheng iron-eating beast breeding base. He can clearly arrange the beastmasters who want to cultivate iron-eating beasts. The owner of the pavilion Lin was begging Situ Technology to invest in their family business almost every day. As the chief evolutionary planner of the iron-eating beast, Situ was almost the spokesperson for which iron-eating beast breeding base he became, which would become the orthodox logo. Behind it represents huge interests, and the patriarch Lin, who has spent hundreds of millions on the evolution of iron-eating beasts, counted on Situ to save his life. And Situ, in the face of the enthusiastic request of the director of the Lin Pavilion, does he have a choice? So the current situation is that the richer Sister Panda's family is, the richer I will be. Let's not say anything else. The food for the next 11 must have been available all the time. Situ sighed. This time shouldn't be considered a rich woman, right? The content of this chapter on the website is wrong. Please download the app on your mobile phone to read the correct content. He also played a big role. However, since this is the case, we have to find a way to let the breeding base of Pingcheng, no, let the economy of the entire Pingcheng rise. After all, the Lin Yu's family's industry has always been closely related to the economy of Hepingcheng, and it belongs to the semi-official and semi-family nature. Having said that, if he cracks the Ice Dragon ruins, he will be able to obtain the illustrated book and a new high-level ruin space. I just don't know what the use of the relic bead in his hand is in cracking the relic, and whether it can be preserved after the event. If it survives, its best use has already emerged. Through this relic bead, the entire Pingcheng will be built into the largest iron-eating beast breeding base, the hometown of giant pandas in the ancient country of Dongguang, where a large number of iron-eating beast-related spiritual plants will be planted. Icefield City may be able to become a first-class city by virtue of this. There are many cities that have really developed through the light of characteristic pet beasts. After going back, I have to discuss it with Lao Foam and Lao Lin to make the most of the relic beads. The premise is that when the Ice Dragon ruins are cracked, this relic bead will not be scrapped. God bless. Hey, wait, after the Ice Dragon ruins space is cracked, will there be new ruins? Shiyu fell into deep thought and suddenly understood why there were so many relic beads to allocate in the 11th round. January the 10th afternoon, the ancient capital arena was lively again. Numerous examiners and spectators who had eaten lunch returned to the arena one after another, preparing to watch the afternoon assessment. Although I didn't pass this year's assessment, I've learned a lot this time. Both are extraordinary pets, and other people's pets can be so strong, it's abominable. In the auditorium, some assessors complained. You're okay. I've seen it for 3 years, and I've reached the 3rd level in the Imperial Beast Space, and I can't pass the 3rd survival test. Brother, it doesn't matter. We will work together in the next assessment. Cack, let's encourage each other. The content of this chapter on the website is wrong. Please download the app on your mobile phone to read the correct content. From all over the venue, there were various discussions, and the most discussion was the next round of the top 4 promotion. Iron-Eating Beast Knight, Tactical Genius, Master of Revamp Shiyu versus Elementalist Zhang Qianyi, who has the higher winning rate. This time, Shiyu should be punished? Many people think so in their hearts. It's not that Shiyu hatred, it's just that he is a bit out of place, which makes many Beastmasters secretly unconvinced that he is not as good as such a guy. Could it be that secondary school is the correct way to become a powerful Beastmaster? They don't believe it. Unless Shiyu can take the first place, then they will reluctantly try to follow suit. Zhang Qianyi's talent for beasts is stronger. Compared to Shiyu, the telepathic talent reported on the internet, she is obviously better. But how did Shiu's telepathy talent cultivate such strong beasts? In terms of beasts, Zhang Qianyi's space level for beasts has reached the 3rd level. Let's not talk about the strength of the beasts. The ordinary assessors are analyzing, and the masters are also analyzing. This battle, the situation is hard to say. Although Zhang Qianyi has hope of defeating Shiyu, Shiyu also has a great chance of defeating Zhang Qianyi. In the promotional video, the Iron-Eating Beast's Thunder Palm and Hardened Mystical skills were edited out, and this profound skill in the video. Because the opponent is too weak, the maintenance time is too short, only for a moment, the power is not obvious. Now, the only thing that these masters have doubts is how well Shiyu's iron-eating beasts can coordinate, whether they can truly control the profound truth, and to what extent. This may be the most important decisive point in this match, because, no matter how strong Zhang Qianyi's combo skills are, they only belong to the category of combo skills, and it is something that professional beast masters play, and the profound meaning is another field. it is the stunt of the masters. After the portraits of Yu and Zhang Qianyu were displayed on the big screen, Master Misinterpretation whistled to signal the two candidates to take the stage. He couldn't see his expression, but he was very curious about what Yu would do this time. Zhang Qianyu is a very orthodox, fighting-type beastmaster facing a beautiful girl. She won't make a living, right? Fight is normal. Make a good impression on the girl. Don't learn from Yushu, who was in the game. The Master of Misinterpretation doesn't know why he should worry about the young people. After a while, Shuyu walked out of the candidate passage, still so handsome and dashing. Junior Shuyu, rush. In the viewing seat of the ancient capital university, the 7 archaeologists cheered for Shuyu one after another. If this year's champion can become a freshman in the archaeology department will definitely be very nourishing in the next year. Shuyu represents their future. After Shuyu stepped into the ring, on the opposite side, Zhang Qianyu also entered the ring at the same time. There is one cheering voice for her. It seems more girls don't necessarily cheer for Shuyu, but male examiners will definitely cheer for Zhang Qianyu. Shuyu stands on the ring and only feels the real world. That's the hilt. Do you have a sword? After coming up, when Zhang Qianyu observed Shuyu, he saw something similar to the hilt of a lightsaber pinned to his waist, and his expression was startled. Could it be that the battle between Shuyu and himself this time is the same as the trial of survival? Play by yourself. Aren't you afraid of being struck to death by lightning? She could not guarantee the safety of Shuyu's life. Shuyu seems to have a sword. What do you mean? Is this to Yujian to cross the thunder tribulation? Many viewers also found that Shuyu carried a prop with him, and couldn't help but be surprised. No, Shuyu said, this is just an umbrella. Your thundercloud elf praying for rain is too large. I don't want to be like Yushu. Zhang Qianyu, Master of Distortion, audience including Yushu. Master Distortion's face darkened, and he immediately blew the whistle to signal the start of the game. Stop talking. Call. This is a professional assessment, not for you to talk about cross-talk. The whistle sounded, and both Zhang Qianyu and Shuyu immediately summoned the beasts. Zhang Qianyu's summoning pattern appeared in the sky, and Shuyu's summoning pattern appeared on the ground. The figures of Thunder Cloud Elf, Fire Elf, and Wind Elf, as well as the figures of Snack Iron Beast and Green Cotton Worm, appeared in the ring in an instant. Boom! At the moment of appearance, the Thunder Cloud Elf, like a black thundercloud, launched the thundering skill, and the internal electric light surged. The deafening sound immediately spread throughout the venue, causing many examiners to cover their ears and tremble in their hearts. However, the main deterrent object of this sound is the small food iron beast standing on the ring, and the green worm on its head. At this moment, with the sound of boom, a rain cloud immediately appeared on the venue. The rain cloud condensed almost instantly, the raindrops fell, the sky was pitch black, and the sound of thunder was deafening. Oh, gee! Seeing that the opposite side actually attacked and used a deterrent technique, the double deterrence of 11 and bugs also broke out suddenly. Although the energy value of the Thunder Cloud Elf is still higher than 11, 11 has a higher deterrence proficiency, and there is a bug to assist. Boom! The substantive momentum is shocking, causing the raindrops to twist up and disappear in mid-air. At this time, the deterrent collision of the 3 elves on the field, even the assessors outside the field, can clearly feel extremely terrifying. There was a bang sound, as if the air collided with each other, and the entire arena was wrapped in 2 huge auras. During the collision of the momentum, lightning flashed and thundered in the air. However, after a moment of collision, the deterrent power of the thunder quickly disappeared. After being quickly suppressed, Zhang Qianyu's expression remained unchanged, and he did not expect the thunder of the Thundercloud Elf to overcome the deterrence of the Snack Iron Beast. As long as he could resist it, it was already a victory. Their ultimate move is still behind. Boom! After the thunderstorm, following the thunderstorm, a sturdy thunderbolt crashed down with the sound of thunder, strengthened by praying for rain and thunder. The power of this high-level thunder skill, Thunder and Lightning, reached the maximum. At this time, the thunder column with a thickness of several meters descended, and 11 showed an excited expression, which made the insects stare and hurriedly jumped away. 11 on, Lei Che, Shuyu sat at the edge of the ring, holding an umbrella. Oh! Hearing Shuyu's command, 11 roared, and a strong blue-white electric current began to appear in both palms. At the same time, thunder and lightning began to permeate the whole body and invaded his body. Zizizi. Under the lightning burst, its mouth and eyes seemed to have lightning. In the next instant, its whole body's hair exploded, and the perfect supervision also activated, forming a profound meaning with the thunder palm. Looking at the thunder and lightning in the sky, it seemed to transform into a thunder light. Immediately afterwards, in this violent state, 11 took a deep breath and finally stepped on it hard. Click! A crack appeared in the field, The figure of the small food iron beast disappeared directly in place. The audience took a breath. What is this for? After a while, all the examiners looked at the sky, their hearts were shaking, and they showed disbelief. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. In mid-air, the Thunder Cloud Elf released a high-level skill like thunder and lightning, which was split into two at this moment. Still in mid-air, everyone saw that the one who cut and tore the thunderbolt was the small food iron beast that leapt up with all its strength. At this time, the blue and white thunderbolt in its hands was in sharp contrast with the golden thunderbolt summoned by the Thunder Cloud Elf. Many people were shocked. Open your mouth, this is okay. The speed of thunder and lightning is so fast. How can this small iron beast cut the thunder and lightning so accurately and quickly? Monster, Zhang Qianyi and Lion Elf changed their expressions almost at the same time. Is this the power of the perfect thunder palm? All the appraisers looked at the small food iron beast that fell to the scorched black field again, with high fighting spirit, and their hearts were shaken. Grass, it has always been a show of insects before, but now seeing the small iron beast attack, it suddenly gives the examiners an illusion of a lifetime. In addition to the perfect level thunder palm, there is also the perfect level supervision. Godai, Yin Chuan said silently, otherwise, this iron-eating beast wanted to so easily capture the movement of thunder and lightning, the weak point of energy, and cut it smoothly. Not so easy. This move can no longer simply be regarded as a perfect level thunder palm, but a profound meaning composed of perfect level thunder palms and supervision, which can allow Zioshi Iron Beast to perfectly control the speedy profound meaning skills brought by lightning stimulation. Sister, is this the thunder palm of your bamboo stone martial arts hall? Cow. The 7 archaeologists from the ancient capital university auditorium said in succession. Senior Panda was silent, always feeling that the thunder palm of Lin Hongnian's iron-eating beast had never been so smooth.
Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.